Well, it took us 5 hours to drive down here to Kenosha, Wisconsin from home in Hudson, but MSBN has arrived, and so has the 2017 Hudson High School football season. The Raiders are back for 2017. Good afternoon, everybody. John Wecken with you here with MSBN, and on a nice warm August 18th, Friday, opening weekend of high school football. A pleasure to be back with you. I know quite a few fans are looking forward to another great season of Hudson High School football. We got a new field coming on board. We're going to talk more about that as we go along here. But first, I want to bring in my partner, my hired gun down here in southern Wisconsin. We heard from him for the first time last year during a great Arrowhead game, and glad to have him back on board. And Don Wadowitz. Don, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you much, John, and glad to be back with you 1 year after that awesome game at Arrowhead. And the facility's a little different here at Kenosha Indian Trail Academy, rather crowded up in the press box here. But we don't have our own room like we got accustomed to last year at Arrowhead. Of course, Arrowhead with tremendous facilities there. But this Kenosha Indian Trail, this field, nice turf field. They've only had a football program down here for 7 years. It's a newer school. It's also the largest school in the state at the D1 level. And their head coach for Indian Trail, Paul Hoffman, he actually came here from a community in Minnesota that is about a third the size of the school.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of Hudson's goals here in the non-conference season is to go out, take on some of the bigger schools. And in the state of Wisconsin, the bigger schools traditionally are in the southeast. You got your Kenosha schools, Racine, Janesville, the schools around Milwaukee, the schools around Madison, even over to the Fox Valley, the Green Bays, the Appleton. So sometimes, particularly in the non-conference, you got to go on the road to play the best competition in Division I. And, here we are down in Kenosha.
Yeah, Hudson doesn't back down. We've seen that from Hudson in the past, and once again, here they are making a long commute to be able to get a quality opponent on their schedule. Indian Trail, they're one of those teams. They were 5-5 last season in the conference. They finished about the middle of the conference, but the Southeast Conference is one of the tougher conferences in the state of Wisconsin. You have a lot of schools who have won state championships, a couple of them on hard times right now with Racine Park and Kenosha Tremper, but then you have Franklin, Oak Creek, and also Kenosha Bradford and in this conference, and Indian Trail trying to make their mark here in the Southeast Conference.
Well, Franklin, as you mentioned, Don, has been in the state title game recently. Racine Park won it back in '88. I remember that was my senior year of high school, so almost 30 years ago now. And Oak Creek has been very good. Kenosha Bradford was a state championship, won a state championship in 2011, and Hudson came down to Kenosha. That's the last time they were down here. That was in 2011 to play Kenosha Bradford, a Bradford team that went on to win the state championship that year, and then opened against Bradford in Hudson in 2012 and knocked them off, stopped a 13 or 14 game winning streak, and they were the defending state champions at the time. So there is a little bit of history between Hudson and Kenosha schools, but not Kenosha Indian Trail. So this is their second trip down here, and glad to be here. I think we're going to have a nice weather tonight, and hopefully a good opening round game.
Yeah, and we're going to see how Hudson handles a passing offense, really, because Jared Wenberg for these Hawks, it's a pretty balanced offense, but Wenberg, their quarterback, had over 1,700 yards passing, 21 TDs, and just 5 interceptions last year. One of the areas that will be interesting to see how Hudson handles this Hawks rushing attack, because the Hawks lost their senior Jack Ranucci last season. He rushed for 521 yards, 6.5 carries, yards a carry, and 8 TDs in just 4 games.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you have a school as big as Kenosha Indian Trail, you have a good athlete pool to draw from. And there's definitely some athletes here. And you talked about their season last year, and that's an indication of what happened last year. If the juniors coming on to our seniors this year with that added experience, and really probably looking to build on that 500 record here. And I think one of Hudson's challenge will be to deal with the speed and athleticism of the bigger Indian Trail team.
Yeah, and for Hudson, you look at the Raiders, and a lot of turnover for the Raiders from last year, and it'll be interesting to see how they fill those gaps in. Of course, one of the places where they are stable is at that quarterback position, where they return both Max Dubendick as well as Kaiser Helderbrand.
Well, I talked to Coach Adam Cowles here at the Pigskin Picnic last week and asked him about that, because they went with the quarterback rotation last year. With Max Stubendick and Kaiser Helterbrand both back this year. Stubendick's a senior, Helterbrand a junior, and they both bring very distinct, different skill sets to the position, and both bring it advantages. And I asked Coach very straight out. I said, "Are you going to, do the same thing? Are you going to commit to one of these two guys?" And he said, "We're going to do a variation of what we did last year, and we're going to have certain sets and certain plays where they're both going to be in. And you shift it around, maybe move Helterbrand to tight end and Stubendick to tailback, and just kind of feature these two fine athletes in different looks for the defense, and hopefully it'll work out well this year."
Yeah, I mean, Helterbrand last year, more success through the air for Hudson with 589 yards passing, 5 TDs, 5 interceptions, a completion percentage of 58%. But he did average just 3.1 yards per carry. Meanwhile, Stubendick only completed 33% of his passes for 216 yards, 2 TDs, and 2 interceptions. But he is a better runner back there, averaging 5.5 yards a carry and 6 touchdowns on the ground.
Well, if you were to classify these two quarterbacks, Max Stubendick would be the more prototypical option quarterback. Fast, small, athletic, really good head on his shoulders, and really more the traditional, what you would even call a wishbone quarterback, option quarterback. Kaiser Helterbrand is bigger, more inclined to pass. I see he's several inches taller. He had a phenomenal freshman season, came in as a sophomore on the varsity with a lot of people talking about what potentially he could do through the air. But another very good athlete. He also plays basketball. I called a couple basketball games last year that he was in, and I'm looking forward to seeing what both of these guys can do this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting with that offensive line, see what the offensive line's going to be able to do this year. And then, of course, all 3 of the backs in the backfield right now, for the first few games at least, are going to be all new backs in that 3-headed backfield.
Well, Hudson has always been a run-first, pass-second type of offense. With Coach Cowles, who was an option quarterback in his playing days, and a big believer in the power of the running attack. And Hudson has had some great running backs through the years.
Looks like we're about getting ready just for the national anthem. Indian Trail Academy, they did win the opening coin toss. They deferred to the second half. They will be defending the north end zone. That's the end zone to our left, as we're bringing you the game here on MSBN.
Yeah, just a nice facility here. And talking about facilities, those of you back home listening in Hudson are well aware that the new field is currently still being worked on. I was over there the other day. It's a tremendous facility, and video scoreboard and artificial turf, NFL-style goalposts, upgraded bathrooms, upgraded concessions, upgraded ticket booths, a nice brick rock facade, aesthetically very pleasing. Really looking forward to getting over there and opening the season, or opening the home portion of the regular season against a Stevens Point team that knocked Hudson out in the playoffs last year.
Indian Trail will be wearing their purple jerseys, their black pants, as you see, and Hudson will be in their visiting white jerseys, as we're about ready to get things kicked off here at Indian Trail High School and Academy. It's a school, they have the regular high school, but then they also have an academy that's attached to the high school. It's a separate part. It's one of those charter schools, so it's kind of an interesting thing for the Kenosha area to have a public school with a charter school within a public school here.
Well, and three public schools in Kenosha. Of course, Kenosha Bradford, Kenosha Tremper, and the new guy on the block, if you will, Kenosha Indian Trail. It's going to be a growing area down here.
And respect of all in attendance, your cooperation in demonstrating the high ideals of sportsmanship is expected and greatly appreciated.
We'll now break and tune into our national anthem.
And those defending our freedom, we ask those who are able to rise and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem.
Several years ago, Daddy started his first varsity game as a sophomore. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I did well. What was you I was talking fullback.
The Hawks will be kicking off.
Will
I'd like
be
to acknowledge some of our
Hudson will be
sponsors for
taking this
tonight's
from
contest and
Indian
for
Trail as we get
football.
started here
Paragon-
this evening.
Paragon
And a beautiful
Pharmaceuticals,
night for the opening night of
Motors,
football, or the
the
opening
Brand
weekend.
Guys,
There are some
Toulouse
games across
Restaurant,
the state
Sports
played
Physical
last night.
Physical
So a
Therapist,
beautiful night
excuse me,
across
Bureau
the
Construction,
area here for some
Ortho
football.
Now,
Up 75
Charcoal
degrees,
Grill,
not a whole ton of humidity. So we were talking, John, a little bit about potential for cramping and things like that, but I think we'll be all right tonight. You know, there's always that chance, as this is the first live action a lot of these kids are seeing, and we'll have to see how that goes, but it's not going to be a big weather-related concern here tonight.
Well, you know, on the 18th of August, we've seen starts of the season where it's, 85, 90 degrees the start of game time, and the concern at that point is always cramping and dehydration. I do not think we'll have that tonight. A nice, clear night. I don't think we're going to have a threat of rain or severe weather. And the 2017 football season, Don, is off and running.
Riley Brown, the deep back for Hudson, awaiting the kick from Jake Laurent. And Lauren's kick is going to actually be taken on the right side by Ben Carls. Carls straight up the hash marks on the far side, and he's going to get across the 20, but not much more before he's brought down by Connor Fonrick of Indian Trail.
Well, I think the key for both of these teams in this first game, they've only been at practice here, a little over 2 weeks, is to avoid injuries, avoid mistakes. They're really going to dumb down the offense. You don't start getting into the more complex offensive sets until a little bit later in the season when everybody's got their game legs on and additional hours of practice. So we'll have to see, if either of these coaches pull some tricks out of the bags or keep it pretty close to the vest here early on.
And starting it out at quarterback for Hudson will be Helterbrand. And Helterbrand coming out looking to pass. He's under pressure, rolling to his left, tries to flip it, ball up in the air, and it falls incomplete. Thankfully for Hudson, getting a hand on it was Ben Carls. He kept it alive in the air with 2 purple jerseys hanging around.
Well, that's a kind of a typical first little bit sloppy play, maybe a broken play there, and again, this game one, a lot of season in front, just starting out, and not a real stellar start for the Raiders.
Helterbrand has to go up for the snap. He hands it off, and pounding his way through, coming around for Hudson is Kenny Hardman, and Hardman will pick up about 3 yards on the play. He'll get up to the 26-yard line, make it 4, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 6.
Excuse me, Fenwick
Well, that's one of the keys of any at any level is the ability to convert third downs, and what I call third and long, anything 3rd and 5 or longer, and this is where Hudson is right now.
2 receivers each way here, and rolling out to his right immediately, looking downfield is Helterbrand, and Helterbrand completes it for a first down to the 35-yard line into the hands of Max Stubendick.
Well, and that's exactly what I was talking about, Don. You know, where they're going to do a quarterback rotation there, but they both might be in at the same time. And now Helterbrand's under center, and Stubendick caught the pass and converted the third down, utilizing both these athletes in different roles.
A minute into our game, a 1st and 10 for Hudson, and they hand it off right up the gut. Fighting for yardage is Riley Brown, and Brown is going to pick up a couple. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8 for Hudson. Maybe 2nd down and 7, we'll call it.
And as Hudson has done in the past, they like to go with what I call a hurry-up offense. They're not a team that methodically goes into a huddle and up to the line. They like to kind of keep coming at you, and the goal of that is to keep the defense off its toes.
Helterbrand on the keeper, just going to break it off to the right side. He'll be close to a first down before he's dragged down by 2 purple jerseys. One of the players on the tackle is Anders Johnson on the right side, and it's going to be good enough for a first down on the pickup of 8.
And Helterbrand's a big kid, and he can run. He's got an excellent arm, good field vision, and he's going to continue to be a multi-threat.
2 receivers left, 1 to the right. The handoff right up the middle. Powering his way through is David Miller. Miller near the midfield marker. It's going to be a pickup of 4 up to the 49-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 6 for Hudson. And now we have an injury. Slow to get up for Hudson. Looks like one of the linemen. And slow to get up for Hudson on that play is Devin Paschke.
Well, you want to avoid these injuries here particularly, but it looks like Paschke is getting off under his own power.
Maybe just got rolled up on from behind here. So a 2nd down and 6 at the 49-yard line for Hudson. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right, 2 backs in the backfield with Helterbrand. Helterbrand fakes the handoff, looking to pass, throwing deep. He has Stubendick, but can't come down with it. A diving attempt at the 30-yard line, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 6.
Nice ball that time by the junior Helterbrand. And Stubendick had a couple steps on his receiver and was just off the fingertips. I like the play call. The pass was perfect, and the timing. Those are the types of plays that a week from now, 2 weeks from now are going to work. It's all about timing, but a nice ball nonetheless.
Opening drive of the game, about 2 minutes gone here in the first quarter. 2 receivers each way for Helterbrand. He's looking to pass on 3rd and 6. Right up the middle, he completes it at the 45-yard line of Indian Trail, and down to the Indian Trail 43-yard line. David Miller with the reception. Another first down for Hudson.
Good looking opening drive here with Hudson, going more to the air than traditionally they have, but you play to the strengths, and it's clear that Helterbrand can throw the football, and they're coming at you.
The handoff coming around from the wing on the left side is Riley Brown, and Brown can't turn the corner on the far side of the field. It'll be no gain, and it's going to bring up 2nd down and 10, and Fonrich on the tackle.
A
nice defensive shift that time by Kenosha Indian Trail. The blocking was there, but they were quick to shut off the running lane for no gain.
2 receivers left, 1 to the right, and it's going to be another keeper for Helterbrand. He goes right up the middle, gets down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line, a pickup of 4. It'll be third down and 6 for Hudson.
And it's very clear they're going to do the quarterback option here, or the quarterback draw with the big athletic Helterbrand, and that's what keeps defensively keeps you on your toes if you're dropping a number of defensive backs back for coverage on a multi-receiver set. It opens up the potential for that quarterback option scramble.
Helterbrand may be audibling here. Helterbrand is going to audible again as he didn't like the setup. Takes it, hands it off, and the handoff goes to Kenny Hardman. Hardman trying to find that edge, and Hardman's going to be very close to a first down to the 32-yard line. It's going to be a gain of 5, maybe even 6 here, and they do move the chains again. The 4th first down of this drive for Hudson, John.
A good-looking drive there, and they got a favorable spot. It's all about where forward progress was, and he probably got it by the nose of the ball. Hudson is driven into Indian Trail territory, a nice-looking drive for the opening of this game.
1st and 10 at the Indian Trail 32-yard line. Helterbrand fakes the handoff, throwing over to the right for Stubendick, and Stubendick can't come down with it, just a little bit short of him as he got outside the numbers on the far side of the field. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 10.
Well, we've got our answer how exactly Coach Adam Cowles is going to feature the two quarterbacks, Kaiser Helterbrand and Max Stubendick. It's been Helterbrand under center, and they've put Stubendick basically out of split end, and they've gone to him several times on this drive.
2 receivers off to the left. It's Riley Brown and Charlie Pierce out there. Now Brown goes in the backfield. The handoff goes to Miller, and Miller's going to be tied up, and the ball comes out, but it's recovered by Hudson. So fumble recovered by Hudson. Getting on that football for Hudson, I believe, was Brandon Gilbert, but it's going to be a loss of about 4 yards on the play and bring up a 3rd down and 14.
Well, one of the challenges to extend this very fine drive, now they find themselves with 3rd and long, 3rd and 15 to be exact, and clearly a passing situation going to a shotgun.
2 receivers each way for Helterbrand. Helterbrand with some time. Now the pocket collapses. He's being dragged down, and it's going to be a sack for Indian Trail. That's Alex Ziccarelli that has the sack back at the 42-yard line, and it's going to be a loss of 6 on the play. So Indian Trail able to hold this Hudson drive that started back at their own 22. Right now with a 4th and 20 at the 42-yard line, they're going to punt it away.
Well, a very promising drive that drove into Indian Trail territory to open this game for Hudson comes up short here as the Hawks defense comes up big and forces the punt.
Ben Carls to punt. Nice punt by Carls. Fair catch called for, and it's caught cleanly by Alex Jarvis back inside the 10-yard line. So a good punt for Hudson. It's going to be a 1st and 10 for Indian Trail back at their 6-yard line.
Want to invite our viewers to shoot us an email here if you would like. We'd love to hear from you here down in Kenosha Indian Trail, some 5 hours south of Hudson. Got up about 5 o'clock in the morning, was able to pull out of town just a little before 7, got down here in plenty of time and enjoyed the ride. It was a long ride, but shoot us an email. Click on the email us button on your game tracker screen. You can let us know who you are, where you're listening from, who you're cheering for today.
The senior Jared Wenberg is going to lead this offense. He has Jack Granucci as the lone back in the backfield. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left for Wenberg. Wenberg takes the snap, fakes the handoff to the receiver coming from the slot on the right, gives to Granucci, and there's nowhere to go. Ton of white jerseys in the middle there that stopped Granucci. No gain. Well, a gain of 1. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
One of the players I'm looking forward to seeing develop this year and he had a phenomenal season last year is Cole Goodbow. And he's got the size, he's got the speed and athleticism, and we're going to see how he did in the offseason to make himself better in terms of technique and weightlifting and conditioning and whatnot, but they expect big things from Cole Goodbow this year.
Yeah, Goodbow, 91 tackles, 24 of those for loss, and 7 sacks last season for Hudson. 1 receiver each way. Wenberg in the pistol formation. Granucci standing behind him. He fakes a handoff to Granucci, rolling out to his right, throwing downfield and in and out of the hands of his receiver, Curtis Tolfree, the sophomore. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 8.
And that's really a sophomore drop, a sophomore mistake. Curtis Tolfree heard footsteps as 2 Hudson defensive backs were closing in, but the pass was where it needed to be, when it needed to be there, and that clearly would have gotten a Hawks 1st down, and they find themselves 3rd and long here, deep in their own territory.
A.J. Bonilla checks in along with Jeremiah Suber for Indian Trail. Wenberg gets the play from the sideline, brings it into the huddle here for Indian Trail as they're moving left to right. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Granucci will be to the right of Wenberg, who's in the shotgun for this one. Wenberg takes, looking to his left, under immediate pressure, rolling to his left. He's in his own end zone. Goodbow giving chase, and Goodbow able to take him down by the ankles. It'll be a gain of a few yards, but it's going to bring up a 4th down, and Indian Trail will be forced to punt.
Nice looking opening set there by the Hudson defense. Stuffed a couple runs, forced them into a 3rd and long in a passing situation. Good defensive coverage in the secondary, and forced the quarterback out of the pocket and forced him to scramble. Stopped him before 1st down, and Hudson should get some pretty decent field position out of this punt down.
They should indeed here. And their returner standing back at the 45-yard line, their own, awaiting the punt from Laurent. Laurent with a big leg. Laurent in his end zone, snap right to him. A flag comes out. High, short kick. It's going to be fielded on the run at the 42-yard line and returned down to the Hawks 30. And now still on his feet is Riley Brown all the way down to the 27-yard line. And we'll have to see what these 2 yellow flags are.
Yeah, and the flags came out real early. I don't know if the Hawks were maybe offsides or perhaps Hudson was offsides, but it was a very early flag.
It's going to go against Indian Trail. It'll be Hudson football, and it's going to be their football at the 27-yard line of Indian Trail. And a good time to introduce our officials: the referee Doug Laurent, umpire B.J. Lagaki, the line judge Vinny DePlaris, the linesman Bryce Pop, and the back judge Gary Neibauer. They're members of the Lakeland Officials Association.
Hudson, a golden opportunity here after they had a nice-looking opening drive. We're not able to strike pay dirt as the Hawk defense straightened up and forced them to punt here. But
Indian Trail forced to take a timeout with 4:55 to play here in the first quarter. No score.
Well, and Don, we wanted to welcome again our viewers. If you're a returning viewer from past seasons, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, welcome to our broadcast, and we're glad to have you on board. This is our 7th year of MSBN doing Hudson Raider High School football, 13th year of MSBN high school broadcasting. We started over in the Twin Cities back in 05 and have taken on the Hudson football task. We're going to be expanding this year for coverage of Hudson High School sports to hockey and basketball. Of course, the hockey team coming off a state championship last year. The girls basketball team had a fine season. I think they're poised to do so again. The boys basketball team, a huge improvement from the previous year, and girls hockey was very competitive as well. So all things are going very well athletically in Hudson, and MSBN is going to be a big part of that, of bringing these games to you wherever you may be.
Max Stubendick will be under center now as they go to that double wing formation, triple backs, one receiver off to the left for Hudson. Stubendick takes the snap, fakes the handoff to the first back through, gives it to the second back, and that is Kenny Hardman. And Hardman, his forward progress gets him back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it.
Good interior defensive penetration that time by the Indian Trail Hawks there. And Hudson likes to do these things, and Coach Cowles is a big believer in that. Counter plays, misdirection plays, that type of thing. And when they're run well, they do good yards.
Hand off to David Miller right up the middle, and Miller keeps the pile moving, and that's going to be a pickup of 11 and a first down for Hudson down to the 16-yard line of Indian Trail.
Some call that power football, between the tackles, smash mouth football, and nothing fancy. But Hudson has a big offensive line, and they work very hard. And if those holes are there, you just keep going and going and going until the Hawks prove they can stop you between the tackles.
1st and 10 for Hudson at the 21-yard line, and penetration on that, but he's able to pitch it off. I believe that was Riley Brown, and Brown takes it for 8 yards inside the 10-yard line to the 8-yard line. Will bring up a 2nd down and 2 for Hudson.
The Raiders knocking on the door for the first score of the season. We want to say hello to Tammy Cowles, Go Raiders shutout from Cecilia and Jake Cowles, and Gracie Weiland, Grant Owen, Aiden and Addie Jamison, Carly, Leo, Sam, and Grady Simmons, and Audrey Ben and Jack Hatfield. That's the coach's kids watching.
Stubendick with the audible, fakes the handoff, keeper, and it's a little pitch that he gets off on the option to Brown, and Brown into the end zone. Touchdown Raiders, 8 yards out. Riley Brown on the pitch from Stubendick, and the Raiders are on the board first. 6-zip with 3:29 to play in the first quarter.
Well, football is a game of field position, and Hudson had outstanding field position coming off their opening drive, punted the Hawks deep into their own territory, forced them to 3 and out. They got excellent starting field position on this second drive and were able to capitalize. 6-0 Hudson.
And now they'll try and add the extra point. Coming in is Ben Carls to try and put it through and give Hudson a 7-zip lead with 3:29 to play in our first quarter. Snap is there, hold is down, the kick is away, and it is through. And Carls puts Hudson up 7-zip on Indian Trail with 3:29 to play here in our first quarter.
Well, a very good start here for the Hudson Raiders on the road all the way down here in Kenosha, about a 5-hour trek away from home, a non-conference game, and of course a very early start to the season, August 18th, and a very early start to this game, 5 o'clock. A departure from the traditional 7 o'clock starting time of high school football to accommodate the long drive home for the Hudson Raiders. And you know, we were the road warriors to start the year last year, and this year isn't quite like that. But we do start with a significant road game down here, about 10 hours total. Last year we started, and Don, you remember this well. We started in Middleton, and then we went to Milwaukee, Heartland Arrowhead. Then we went over to Eau Claire and then up to Superior, and we had 1,500 miles of traveling before we ever had our first home football game, and they won all 4, so it worked out very well. So far, so good here in 2017 on the road.
Yeah, you know, Hudson's been moving the football on both their drives, able to get the short field on that second drive and punch it in from 27 yards out eventually on that drive.
Emails continuing to come in. Keep them coming in. We will get a chance to read them. Number 59 coming in. This one coming in anonymous. It says Dane 59 is a sophomore. So we'll make that adjustment. Thank you for the email.
Riley Brown, Charlie Pierce back deep to receive the kick. It's going to be Pierce that fields it at the 8. Up the hash marks towards the near numbers, and he'll be taken down at the 30-yard line. On the tackle for Hudson was Kenny Hardman. It'll be 1st and 10 for Indian Trail. Ball will be at their own 29-yard line to start this drive.
Just want to make a correction here if we didn't do so before. Dane Demuth, number 59, sophomore. And I don't know if he was on our original roster here. Of course, typical game one kind of preparations. We had some contradictions and different things, incompletions in our in some of the media materials we got. And we'll get that straightened out. And thank you for tuning in.
Handoff goes to Granucci. Granucci dances around the backfield, then hits a hole, breaks a tackle at the 35, and Granucci up the near numbers out to the 43-yard line. It'll be a gain of 14 and the first down of the game for Indian Trail.
Well, yeah, that's the first really positive play they've had against Hudson after they went 3 and out on their opening drive. Nothing real fancy there, but a good piece of running, and of course playing on artificial turf here. It's all about getting good footing, and in the Big Rivers Conference, everything is artificial turf now with the end of the Newton Field era, and natural grass is no more.
2 receivers to the right. Wenberg in the pistol, takes the snap, hands it off to Granucci. Granucci up the gut again. He finds some space, and then the turf monster trips him up at the 48-yard line. A gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Indian Trail.
Granucci had some nice moves in there. He runs with a good low center of gravity, squares his shoulders, and he's got some good powerful legs and some quick speed. I think he's poised for a good game tonight. Hudson's going to have to key on him defensively.
Only played 4 games last season, broke his collarbone, was out. He was somebody who, when I was talking to head coach Paul Hoffman, he said he's off the radar of a lot of teams, and he's going to surprise a lot of teams not in their conference. Wenberg, ready for the snap, takes it. The pitch goes to Granucci to the left side. Granucci bowls over one defender and brings it into Hudson territory at the 49-yard line. A gain of just 3, but a good hard run and into Hudson territory to set up a 3rd and 2.
Of course, defensive coordinator Neil Hatfield in the booth next to us, and he's been calling the defensive shots in all the years that we've been doing the broadcasting here. And boy, has he had some outstanding defensive units, and I think this year's squad is poised to do very well.
Breaking out to the right side is Gabe Toronto for Indian Trail. 21 catches, 280 yards last year. Slot receiver on the right side as well. The handoff, though, again to Granucci, and Granucci avoids tacklers in the backfield. He's able to get near the first down, but he's going to be a little bit short, and it's going to be a decision here for Indian Trail as they will have a 4th and about a foot.
It all depends where the spot is, Don. I'm looking here, and from my vantage point, and of course John Reed, cameraman extraordinaire, zooming in on there, and looks like it's about what do you think? Maybe a half a.
It's about a foot.
Yard?
They need to hit. Yeah, they need to hit that other. They need to hit the 47-yard marker there, the hash mark, and they're sending out Jake Laurent to punt with 50 seconds to play in our first quarter, trailing 7-zip.
Yeah, conservative call. I would watch for the fake punt right here.
And they're taking some time, and now they're short a player out there apparently, or they're sending out Granucci now.
There's a flag on the play.
And they're going to kill the. They're going to delay delay a game penalty here for 5 yards and move them back a bit.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was planned. Again, this is game 1, and still trying to get the kinks out here. They've only been to practice a couple weeks, new players and things, and so they're going to get backed up.
Ben Carls will be back deep to receive this punt. Laurent, a high kick, angling towards Carls, calls for a late fair catch on the near hash marks and makes it at the 24, maybe 25-yard line. It'll be about a 28-yard punt. It'll be 1st and 10 for Hudson at their own. Where are they marking that? The 25, it looks like.
Want to say hello to Jamison Bolt emailing in. He's an alum and a former secondary coach with Coach Hadfield. He's watching from Boston, Massachusetts today. This afternoon. He says, good luck, boys, Raider Nation. That one coming in from Jamison Bolt. Jamison, thank you for the email. Kim Madigan says, go Raiders, watching from home with right tackle number 65, Carson Madigan, who's unable to be there to play due to illness. So, Carson, we wish you well. And, Kim, thank you for emailing in.
Max Stubendick under center again for Hudson. Just led Hudson on a 27-yard scoring drive on the last possession. Probably our last play here of the first quarter. And Stubendick on a keeper gets off the left tackle and up across the 35 to the 37-yard line, a gain of 12 and a first down.
And that is exactly what Max Stubendick brings to the table, different than Kaiser Helterbrand. This is going to be, if it's done correctly, and I have every confidence that it will, this is going to be a two-headed monster that defenses are going to have a hard time defensing this year against the Raiders.
Stubendick takes. No, he's going to fake again. Fake the handoff to Miller. Gets outside, down the sideline, and Stubendick up to the 45, maybe 46-yard line. He gets 8-9 on the play, we'll call it, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 1.
Got our first score report. Of course, we're not going to get a lot of score reports because we're starting 2 hours early down here, but Menominee is going on the road, taking on Oshkosh North. And the Menominee Mustangs up 14-0 over Oshkosh North, the always tough Menominee Mustangs.
Stubendick looking to pass this time. Carls is open, makes a catch at the 35, and he'll be wrestled down at the 25-yard line. He got by his defender, Granucci, out there, I do believe, and it's going to be a first down for Hudson.
Boy, this Raider team is banging on all cylinders here with Helterbrand going under center for the first two offensive possessions, doing very well, and they go to Stubendick here, and two very different types of players. Defensively, that's very hard to adjust to, and job well done in the first quarter for the Raiders.
Yeah, 8 first downs in the first quarter.
Pretty fast pass. I want to take a shout out here to Bob Hankman emailing in. Said, hi, this is Bob Hankman. He loves Hudson. Says, go Raiders. And keep those emails coming in. It's very easy to do. Click on the Email Us link in the upper right-hand corner of your game tracker screen. You can let us know who you are, where you're listening from, and who you're cheering for today. We're going to launch a new website. Actually was put together some time ago that's going to feature exclusively the Hudson Raider games on its own page with all the archives and other Hudson-related information, and we're going to launch that next week. Another thing we're going to launch next week is with our partnership with the River Channel. We are going to be able to run games live on Channel 15, the River Channel, something that's never been done before. And still trying to nail down all our sponsorships and things. We'll continue to work on that this week. Wanted to get down here and get this first game done get done first, but get everything in order and coming up with that big time home opener against Stevens Point next week, and try to get some revenge on the Pointers that knocked out, not the Pointers, excuse me, that's the college, but the Stevens Point team that knocked Hudson out of the playoffs last year in Level 2.
So Hudson now at the 25-yard line of Indian Trail as we get the second quarter about ready to get underway here. And as I said, Hudson in that first quarter, 8 first downs, 6 of them on the ground and 2 through the air.
Yeah, they looked really good in that first quarter, and the hurry-up offense is working. The quarterback rotation is working. The offensive line is opening up some holes. We got some new backs we didn't see last year doing well. Looking good so far.
Handoff goes to the fullback, David Miller, and Miller tries up the middle, but he's only going to pick up a yard to the 24-yard line. They'll bring up a 2nd down and 9 for Hudson.
Of course, Pepperfest in North Hudson just opened the main gate some 25 minutes ago. If you're around town this weekend, and I know I will be when I get back tonight at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm heading right up to Pepperfest. I'm going to stand in line for my pepper sandwich.
Looking, Stubendick is going to take it himself, and he's going to get crushed. Vonrick takes him down, and it's going to be a loss of about a yard back to the original line of scrimmage, the 25-yard line it looks like here.
Connor Vonrick, and that's what you really want to do as a linebacker against an option team. It's all about reading and speculating. Is the quarterback going to pitch it, or is he going to keep it? And Vonrick guessed right that time, and Stubendick went down for a loss.
And Hudson will take their first time out of the half as they brought in Helterbrandt to quarterback this one. And with 11:02 to play in our first half, Hudson with the 7-zip lead over Kenosha Indian Trail.
I want to say hello to Noah Bennett emailing in. He said, looking good, boys, keep trucking. And one of the great things about the emails, we get emails from people watching back home. We did have some Hudson fans that made the long trip down here, Kenosha, across the way here. It's turned into quite a beautiful evening here, and we weren't quite sure on the way down, saw a lot of clouds and whatnot, but it is a very nice, warm, pleasant, sunny evening down here in Kenosha. But getting back to the emails, former players, students, spouses of coaches, people watching in groups, people watching overseas, watching on the East Coast, the West Coast. It's just been tremendous. We have a lot of people that tune into these games that have a connection to the Hudson football team or the Hudson community. It's really fun to be part of that. It's good to be back in the broadcast booth doing these games and bringing these broadcasts to you wherever you're watching from tonight.
2 receivers to the right, 1 receiver to the left. H-back on the left side of the formation as Helterbrand stands in the shotgun. Helterbrand fakes a handoff, has time, pocket collapses, rolls to his right. Avoids pressure, still looking downfield, now throwing, end zone, and it's going to be short, and it'll be incomplete, looking for Carls. It'll bring up 4th down and 11, and we'll have to see what Hudson decides to do here. Maybe a little bit in no person's land at that 25, 26-yard line.
Well, that's exactly where you are, Don, is, you're probably out of range in terms of a field goal, but you don't really want to punt, but, it's 4th and long. You go for it, 11. They're going for it. And Coach Cowles, through the years, has been a gambler on 4th down.
Carls and Stubendick out to the right side for Helterbrand. He's looking to the right, steps up in the pocket, throwing middle of the field. It's knocked away. Intended for Carls. And getting a paw in there is Michael Kraft, one of the twins on this team for Indian Trail, and it's going to be a turnover on downs at the 26-yard line of Indian Trail.
Very good defensive secondary coverage on 3rd and 4th down by the Indian Trail Hawks, as Hudson was poised to drive again, already sitting on a 7-0 lead as the Raiders went back to the air as Helterbrand came back in. But two nice defensive plays there, and they're going to start fairly deep in their own territory on the 25, but a nice defensive stop.
49-yard drive comes to an end for Hudson with no points, but they do lead 7-zip with 10:47 to play here in our first half. 2 receivers each way for Wenberg. Granucci to his right. Fakes the handoff to Granucci, pulls it out of the pocket, and then runs right up the middle. And Wenberg will pick up 10, and it looks to be enough for a first down. Just the second first down of the game for Indian Trail.
Well, Indian Trail trying to get their offense really rolling here. They did ran into a very dominant Hudson defense on that opening possession, 3 and out deep in their own territory, which ended up leading to the good field position that Hudson capitalized on that first score. But it looks like they're getting into a little bit more of a rhythm here, starting to move the ball.
Wenberg can run the ball, averaged about 4 yards a carry, and had 5 TDs on the ground last season. 2 receivers again each way for Wenberg, with Granucci to his right as he stands in the shotgun. Takes the high snap, pulls it down, looking around, rolling to his left. Pressure from the backside, and he's going to be hit from behind and taken down about the original line of scrimmage. It'll be a second down and 10, maybe 9 on the play here.
I want to go back into the MSBN email bag. Tanner Gray emailing in. He says, retired players, Tanner Gray and Jacob Morissette and Logan Nelson watching the game at home, and retired Bleacher Creature Sam Chase also tuning in as well. Of course, the Bleacher Creatures will be out in force next week when we go back home for the opening of the brand new field at Hudson High School against Stevens Point.
They'll call it a gain of 1, send out trips to the right on second down and 9, 1 receiver to the left. Wenberg has Granucci to his left, off his left hip. He's looking to pass. Pressure coming, rolling out to his right, throwing downfield, has a receiver, catch is made, and it's going to be good enough for a first down. Jeremiah Suber into Hudson territory down at the 44-yard line of Hudson.
Well, Hudson had some pretty good defensive pressure and forced a rollout out of the pocket, but on a little bit of the run, the pass was there and kind of slipped by some of the defensive secondary coverage and really was wide open and converted that first down. And the Hawks are into Hudson territory here, like I said, starting bit by bit to move the ball against this good Hudson defense.
19-yard pickup on that pitch and catch, and it's a 1st and 10 for Indian Trail at the Hudson 44-yard line. 2 receivers left, 1 to the right. H-back on the left side of the formation for Wenberg. Wenberg takes, rolling out to his left. Wenberg being chased. Wenberg in trouble, and Hudson is going to take him down for a sack. And riding him to the ground initially on the play was Jonah Becken. Back at the 47-yard line, a loss of 3 on the play.
And that sack, once again, was set up by very good defensive secondary coverage down the field as the Hawks sent out multiple receivers, but they were all covered up.
So a second down and 13 now for Indian Trail. Ball at the 47-yard line of Hudson. 8:15 to play in our first half. 7-zip, the Raiders lead the Hawks.
Hanson and Anita Castro watching from home. Keep it coming, boys. Great job. Go number 79. Hanson and Anita Castro, thank you for emailing in. Keep those emails coming.
Receiver out to the right is Alex Jarvis. 2 receivers to the left for Wenberg. He's in the shotgun, and he has Granucci standing a few yards behind him, and now we have a flag, and that's from the back judge, likely a delay of game, and that is the second delay of game penalty against Indian Trail in the game.
Yeah, and game 1, it's all about timing. It's all about execution and discipline, and that'll come for both of these teams. And they've been burned a couple times and got burned again. Carrie Wilson emailing in saying, go Raiders. She's watching from home with number 65, Carson Madigan. Carrie, thank you for tuning in and emailing in as well.
2 receivers left, 1 to the right here for Wenberg. Granucci behind him, and Hudson jumps, and that's the first penalty against Hudson. And offsides, yep, they give that 5 yards back.
Well, they got backed up on a delay of game, and Hudson gave it right back to him with an offside. So I guess all's well that ends well, offsetting penalties in essence. And here we go with the second and long. And Mike and Liz Miller, Sam and James emailing in, tuning in, said go Raiders, and a special shout out to our favorite player, number 10, David Miller.
Suber and Jarvis off to the right side, Toronto to the left. Wenberg takes, looking to pass, looking to his right, completes it to Suber. Suber down to the 36-yard line. Going to be a couple yards short of the first down as he'll get a pickup of about 12, maybe 11 we'll call it on the play.
Looks like about 2 yards to go. It looks like a 3rd and 2. Hudson came with a pretty hard aggressive rush, and they were about a step too late there. The pass was solid, and the catch was made in traffic and took the hit. big 3rd and 2 play coming up.
So a 3rd and 2 at the 36-yard line of Hudson for Indian Trail. 2 receivers to the right. Tight end on the left side with an H-back behind him. Handoff to Granucci, and Granucci is taken down in the backfield. And the penetration by Goodbow, and tackle for loss for the big man. And it's going to bring up a 4th down for Indian Trail, 4th and about 5.
Well, Cole Goodbow is going to be one of the anchors of this Hudson defensive unit here in 2017, and looking to build off that outstanding season from last year. And talking to defensive coordinator Neil Hatfield last week, they're really going to move him around and position him in a lot of different places and try to make the offensive line adjust to him. Very big, very athletic, and they got high hopes for this young man this season.
Indian Trail going for it on 4th and 5 at the Hudson 39-yard line, trailing by 7, 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. Wenberg rolling out to his right. White jerseys giving chase. Lofts it up. His receiver Jarvis makes the catch and goes out of bounds at the Hudson 16-yard line. A pickup of 23 on 4th down.
Well, as we look back at this game, whoever comes out on top, 2 evenly matched teams, and it's pretty clear, I think these 2 teams, at least so far, are pretty evenly matched. Plays like that, a win or loss is usually decided by half a dozen different plays, and that could be one of those 6 plays that decides this, converting a big 4th down and keeping the drive alive inside the red zone now.
Makes it 1st and 10 at the Hudson 16-yard line. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left for Wenberg. Granucci behind him. Receiver in motion, that's Suber. Handoff to Granucci. Granucci plows through that defensive line and is able to pick up 4 down to the 7-yard line or 11-yard line of Hudson.
Pat Stream emailing in, says another season start. It's going to be great. Get her done tonight. Pat, thank you for the email. Thank you for tuning in. Sam Somerville as well, I remember. Sam says, go Raiders. Sam Somerville is tuning in from Munich, Germany tonight, or this afternoon. So, Sam, enjoy yourself over in Germany and enjoy the broadcast. Thank you for emailing in.
Trips to the left, 1 receiver to the right for Wenberg. Granucci to his right. Gives it to Granucci, pulls it out of the basket, and then Wenberg is going to try and take it himself, and he'll gain 2 yards to the 10-yard line, where it'll bring up a 3rd down and 3.
Oh, couple nice plays here by the Hudson defense after surrendering that big 4th and long that kept this drive alive. This is a key play. I would say, Don, we're probably in 4-down territory here. At this position in the field.
Well, Laurent does have a big leg. We were watching him with no pressure hitting 50-yard field goals in the warm-ups. 2 receivers left, 2 to the right here for Wenberg. Granucci to his right. 4:54 to play in our first half. Wenberg looking to pass, and it's broken up. Getting his paws in there was Bon Carls, the pass intended for A.J. Bonilla, and it's going to bring up 4th down, and it looks like they are going to send out Laurent to kick, and it's going to be about a 27-yard field goal, depending where they put it down here.
Well, you called it right, Don. You know, in high school football, even with the big schools, it's always kind of a question mark here, but you're right. He did look very good in pregame warm-ups.
27-yard field goal attempt by Laurent. And the kick is away, nearly blocked. He's able to get it up over the defender and through. And with 4:44 to play in our second quarter, Indian Trail on the board with a field goal. They trail Hudson 7-3.
And we want to welcome you back to the MSBN coverage. Year number 7, 2017 high school football season. Very excited to be coming down here, bringing you this opening non-conference game, and even more excited for next week's home opener against Stevens Point. We'll be live on TV and get our production here, still getting down all our sponsors for this year, and it's because of these sponsors, because of the commitment to the community and the commitment from the Hudson High School athletic staff to MSBN that allows us to work with us to bring you these broadcasts. And want to thank everybody, Athletic Director Stephanie DeVos among others, and Paul Malika and Ron Dalton and many others. I would be naming names from now till the end of the game here, but a lot of people behind the scenes doing a lot of things, and just really great to be back doing this this again. Looking forward to a great season.
6 minute, 3-second drive that went 64 yards, ends with a 26-yard field goal by Laurent. He's on to kick it off to Hudson now with 4:44 to play in our first half. A high kick. It's going to be taken in at the 7-yard line by Riley Brown. Brown breaks it. The 40, Brown, the 45, the 50. Brown, nobody in front of him. Brown could take it to the house on the far sideline. The 10, touchdown Raiders. Riley Brown takes the ensuing kickoff to the house, and Hudson extends their lead to 13-3 on about a 90-yard return.
Riley Brown, he's going to be exciting to watch this year. The blocking was there, and once he got through that kind of wedge there, made a couple moves, turned on the Jets down the left sideline. Only one defender had an angle on him, and he just basically outran him. And bang, bang, just like that, the Hawks closed the gap to within 4, and in a matter of the blink of an eye, Hudson's an extra point away from going back up 14-3.
Carl's on to try and give him that point. Stubendick the holder, the kick is away, and it is through. And Hudson, just like that, they extend their lead to 11, 14-3 on the 88-yard kick return by Riley Brown. Brown with both touchdowns in the game, an 8-yard run in the first quarter, and an 88-yard kick return there.
And is there anything as exciting as a kick return or a punt return like that, particularly one of 80, 85, 90 yards, a couple key blocks and just being able to get in the position and then utilize that athleticism and that speed, which Riley Brown clearly has. And wow, that was exciting. A nice start here for the Raiders all the way down here in Kenosha Indian Trail on the road, some 5 hours from home. Kenosha Indian Trail, one of 3 schools here in Kenosha. We are not that far from the Illinois border. Chicago is maybe 50 miles away, something like that. So
not even.
So
you're minutes from the Illinois border.
Minutes
here
from the
at
Illinois
Indian
border.
Trail.
I thought I smelled something. But
glad you went there.
A long way from home, right? No, it's Chicago's a fine town. Know some people down there. In fact, Meridix, who's been our streaming partner through the years, is headquartered out of Naperville, Illinois, one of the suburbs of Chicago, so I have a connection there. So, yeah, long way from home, but so far so good for these Raiders.
Ben Carl's on to kick this one off
Carl
as Hudson leads 14-3.
4 minutes, 31 seconds remaining until halftime.
Back deep for Indian Trail are Paris Body and Alex Jarvis. The little squib kick, it goes off of one of the Indian Trail players and is recovered at the 26-yard line by Noah Dial.
Scott Newell emailing in. He says, happy that MSBN is saving me a lot of miles this season. Always love to watch the boys of fall. Go Raiders. That one coming in from Scott Newell. We've heard from him before. And I think, Scott, that many other fans echo that. And we're glad to be hearing from everybody again. Glad to be back in the booth. Glad to be back a part of Hudson Raider football for yet another season.
In field position, playing an early role in this one, John. Indian Trail has started at their own 6, 29, 26, and now 27-yard line, as opposed to Hudson starting at their own 22, but then the Indian Trail 27.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hudson. One of the keys to victory is owning the field position battle, and Hudson so far has.
Hudson nearly jumped. Wenberg fakes a handoff to Granucci and takes it right up the gut himself, up across the 35 to the 36-yard line. A gain of 8. It'll be second down and 2.
Looking to get another update here as the Menominee Mustangs, fellow team from the Big Rivers Conference, is also on a long road trip, not quite as long as this one, but playing Oshkosh North, and they also had a 5 o'clock start. The Mustangs, the always tough Menominee Mustangs, up 14-0 over North, and the big Menominee-Hudson matchup, which has been a stellar matchup in the years we've done it. That comes September, I believe, 15th.
Wenberg in the shotgun, fakes a handoff to Granucci. He's going to keep it himself, but Goodbow ties him up, and he's going to stop him, I believe, just short of a first down by about a foot. We'll call it a gain of 1. Oh, no, they're going to give him the first down. They say that he got just enough for the first down.
Ooh, that's a favorable spot, but, I guess it was close there. And as they move the chains. We'll say hi to Logan Paul. Says, hi, I'm a coach's son, and I love the Raiders. Go Raiders. Well, Logan, thank you for tuning in. Glad to hear from you.
1st and 10 for Indian Trail at their own 37-yard line. 3:20 to play here in our first half. They trail Hudson 14-3. Wenberg has 2 receivers to the left and 1 off to the right. Looks to be Jarvis off to the right. And do we have another delay of game? Back judge throws the flag, and that's the 3rd delay of game here in the first half against Indian Trail. One of those was on a punt attempt, but the last 2 have been while they've been on offense here.
You know, and one of the things you get to do as a broadcaster in doing this a lot of years is you read body language of coaches, and it spoke volumes on a couple guys I saw as they dipped their head. And it's early, guys. Week 1.
Wenberg fakes a handoff Granucci and throwing over the middle, intended for Jarvis around midfield. It's incomplete, and they'll bring up a 2nd down and 15.
Belland, number 28.
Well, I think the key for the Indian Trail Hawks is to not get too rattled here. Obviously, there was a huge kickoff return for Hudson and playing very well and down 14-3, but this is anybody's ball game. And, you know, they got some good things going offensively in that previous drive. Then the Hudson defense stiffened and held them to a field goal there, and just trying to get back to that rhythm.
Jarvis and Suber off to the right side. 2 receivers to the left as well for Wenberg. Granucci to his left. Wenberg looking to pass, looking to his right, hits Jarvis. Jarvis can't haul it in at the 40, and it'll bring up a 3rd and 15.
Kind of a quick hitter there, and Jarvis, that being Alex Jarvis, wide receiver for the Hawks. The pass was right there, and had he been able to pull it in, that would have been a good solid, 5-yard gain there, 5-6-yard gain.
Jarvis had 11 catches for 101 yards and a TD last season. Gabe Toronto, the leading receiver coming back from last season, 21 for 280. He's been rather silent, called his name only in lining up as he's lined up on the near side of the field on the far outside. A.J. Bonilla in the slot on the left side. 2 receivers off to the right on 3rd and 15. Wenberg under immediate pressure. He's able to dump it off to his back. Slips a tackle at the original line of scrimmage, and fighting for some yardage near a 1st down is Jalen Grant. And he's going to pick up about 14 on the play and leave it to be an interesting decision for Indian Trail with a 4th and 1 at the 46-yard line.
And Jalen Grant got about three additional yards on just pure strength and athleticism as a couple different Hudson Raider defenders closed in, and they had him stopped several yards short, but he kept the legs pumping and got some additional yards, which makes this 4th down all the more interesting.
2:15 to play in the first half. It's an 11-point Hudson lead, and here goes Indian Trail going for it on 4th down for the 3rd time this game already. Granucci is the deep back. He takes a handoff, and too many white jerseys in the backfield. And nowhere to run, nowhere to hide for Granucci. Bon Carls with initial contact, and it's going to be a loss of a couple of yards inside the 45 to the 44-yard line.
Hudson had that one snuffed out right from the get-go there, and on 4th and short, a very makeable 4th down, and they went for it. But defensively, Hudson was fired up. An excellent call there by coordinator Neil Hatfield, and the Raider offense is back on the field.
And they have a short field. That's the danger in going for this one is Hudson now has it at the Indian Trail 44-yard line. They have 2 timeouts and 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go. Stubendick fakes the handoff and gives it off to the back Hardman, and Hardman will be able to pick up about 4 yards. It'll be a gain, or it'll bring up 2nd down and 6 at the 40.
Well, Hudson really trying to establish that power running game. That's the hallmark of this Hudson offense, but they're also going to the air more, and you play to your strengths.
Stubendick looking to pass. Carls has a step. He hauls it in at the 20 and is dragged down at the 15-yard line. A pickup of 26 and a 1st down for Hudson.
Well, we talked about the passing prowess of Kaiser Helterbrand, and we've certainly seen it, but Max Stubendick, several fine throws here in the first half, and that being one of them as the Hudson Raiders inside the red zone again.
Two completions for 54 yards, both to Carls. The handoff this time goes to Riley Brown, and Brown will get it to the 15-yard line, just a gain of 1. and it's going to be a 2nd down and 9 for Hudson.
And we have yet to see Cole Danielson, and I don't know if he's
lined up a couple times, but
he
hasn't gotten the ball yet. He's out there. Is that him right now on the left side, or is that hard to see? That might still be Brown. Stubendick is going to audible. 1 receiver each way. Carl's off to the right side. Hands it off to the fullback Miller. No, check that. It gives to Hardman on the pitch, and Hardman is able to get it down to about the 10, maybe the 9-yard line. See where they officially mark it. That'll be, actually they're going to say the 11. So maybe a pickup of 2, and it'll be 3rd down and 7.
Well, time's starting to become an issue here, Don, with 48.9 seconds. Hudson's still holding that the 2 timeouts. And, of course, you also have the movement of chains temporarily stops the clock. It's all going to be about time management here. If Hudson can put another 7 on the board, boy, they're going to be going into halftime in sweet shape.
Stubendick ducks under center. Stubendick looking to pass, throwing for the middle of the field. Helter Brand into the end zone. Touchdown, Raiders. Stubendick finds Helterbrand for the touchdown, and it's now 20-3.
Well, Coach Cowles was being very, very honest with me about, he said, how he's going to use Kaiser Helterbrand and Max Stubendick with the quarterback, and they're going to play off each other and play different positions. And boy, has this worked well in this first half of the opening game. Wow.
And Carl's now in for the extra point to try and make it 21-3. Nearly blocked, gets it up and through, and it's going all Hudson's way right now, John, as they lead 21-3 over Indian Trail with 44 seconds to play in our first half.
Well, it's been a good early opening day for the Big Rivers Conference. We talked about the Menominee Mustangs taking on the Oshkosh North team. I think Menominee is probably poised for another good season, considering they're up 33-0 in the second quarter over Oshkosh North. So the Big Rivers shining brightly with these 2 early games on opening day here of the 2017 season. We're going to go back into the MSBN email bag. Aunt Susie emailing in, says, Hudson Raiders rock. Big shout out to her nephew, Aaron Lofgren, number 16. She's watching online on a tablet from Ellendale, Minnesota. Said sister and niece are there in the bleachers. Tell the crowd we need more cowbell from Aunt Susie. So Aunt Susie emailing in. Good to hear from you. Julie and
always need more cowbell.
We always need more cowbell, whether it's you're in the recording studio or at a high school football game. I find $1 for every time I said that. Okay. Joel and Julie Marvin emailing in. We miss watching Jager and Braden Marvin running the ball, but we love watching the Raiders play ball. Go Raiders! And I'm going to second that. I immensely enjoyed those 2 young men, Jager and Braden Marvin. And they were fast, they were athletic, they were exciting, whether they were returning kicks or on a jet sweep out of the backfield. I wish those 2 young men well. They were a lot of fun to watch.
Another squib kick. It's going to take a big bounce at the 20. Paris Body picks it up at the 11. Cutting across the 20 and taken down at the 22, and check that. That is Jalen Grant on the return, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Indian Trail at their own 22-yard line.
You know, Indian Trail's kind of shocked right now because Hudson has really had a solid start to this game, up 21-3, and he had that big kickoff return and 2 nice drives. Hudson has dominated the field position element of this game here, but this game is not over. You know, Indian Trail. They had a decent season last year. They're at home, big school, good talent on that team. This game is not over, but you got to wonder if they're just going to, play it close to the vest, bang it between the tackles, run the clock out, and go to halftime, or are they going to roll the dice here fairly deep in their own territory?
Jalen Grant off the hip of Wenberg to start this off, and they're going to go to the air. Wenberg throwing towards the Hudson sideline, overshoots his receiver, Suber, and it'll bring up a 2nd down and 10.
Okay, just got an email in here, and it says Cole Danielson is not playing football this year. He's playing hockey instead. So, if that information is correct, and we'll assume that it is, and that would explain why we haven't seen him. He is on the roster that I have, but thank you for the information.
1 receiver off to the left side for Indian Trail is Gabe Toronto. 2 receivers to the right for Wenberg. Wenberg looking to pass. Wenberg, his pass is short of Suber, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 10. That's the 4th straight incompletion from Jared Wenberg, and Wenberg last year completed 57% of his passes.
Now here's the other side of this sword when you do this. They've run off next to nothing for clock. Hudson still has 2 timeouts left, 31.4 seconds. If they are not, if they continue to misfire here, Hudson can burn the timeouts and potentially have one more crack at it with a few seconds left.
Yeah, Hudson with 2 timeouts remaining. Fakes the handoff to Grant, gets it out to Toronto, and Toronto in the flat slips 2 tackles, 3 tackles, is brought down at the 27-yard line. A pickup of 5, and don't see a timeout being called now.
Boy, they
Coach
wasted.
Cowles come running in, trying to find an official to call a timeout.
They wasted about 6 seconds there, 6 or 7 seconds, and he knows it too.
And he had no official near him. Was part of the problem. He had to go running about 20 yards just to get an official's attention. And so 17 ticks left, and it'll be Indian Trail punting from the near hash marks.
Yeah, and that's potentially crucial seconds, and that's where again, week 1, where your senior leader out there has to recognize the situation and immediately, when you get the offensive player down, call that timeout immediately. And it was a little bit of a miscommunication there, and several key seconds were wasted. They did call it, but and Hudson still does have some time left.
Hudson had to run an extra player out there late. Ball is going to hit at the Hudson 48, and this is a live ball. Flag comes out, and it wastes 8 seconds on the punt, down and out at the far sideline at the Hudson 31, and this might be a flag as Hudson miscounted, I think. They end up running a 12th player out onto the field, and that could result in a first down. It's going to be close to a first down here for Indian Trail.
In the first half of the first game, both of these teams, it's the delay of game, 12 men on the field, as somebody not reporting in or out of position or, offsides, that's a timing thing. A lot of these mistakes, you're going to see less and less of them when we get into week 3, week 4, and so on. It's all about getting your game legs on and getting the routine, repetition, additional practice.
So illegal substitution.
And legal substitution. Yeah, that's another one. And we've seen some of that in the first half, which we expected.
That penalty is enough.
Yeah, and that's going to be just enough for an Indian Trail first down, and they'll bring their offense back out there. Their 6th first down of the half. And with 9 seconds left to play in the first half, Indian Trail trailing by 18. They'll have it 1st and 10, but at their own 43-yard line.
Yeah, no, see, here's a situation where it actually, perhaps, by a weird twist of fate, maybe helped Hudson that those additional seconds ticked off, and maybe it's irrelevant anyway. We'll have to see.
Wenberg rolling to his right, looking downfield, throwing, completes it to Suber, and that'll go for 17 yards. He gets out of bounds, 3 seconds remaining. And it's another first down. That's their 7th here of the first half. And Suber's been the favorite target thus far. 3 catches for 47 yards in the first half, and Indian Trail will take a timeout with 3 ticks left. They have a 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line of Hudson.
We're going to adjust the scoreboard here. I do apologize. It shows 20-3. It's actually 21-3. And Don, you and I will talk at halftime and recap the first half. A very good half for the Hudson Raiders here. And another team that's having a very good first half on the road is the Menominee Mustangs, 40-0 over Oshkosh North. That game also started at 5 o'clock. The vast majority of high school football games here in week 1 will start at 7 at the traditional time, and a bit of a different situation here that Hudson is so far about 5 hours from home, so the early start allows to get back at a somewhat reasonable hour. Although if I walk in the front door before 1:30 in the morning, I'll be surprised. But if we pull out a win down here, it'll be worth every second. So we'll take it.
So likely the final play of the half here with 3 seconds left to go. Ball 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line of Hudson for Indian Trail, trailing by 18. Wenberg has Granucci standing behind him, takes the snap, fakes the handoff, under pressure, rolling to his right. Goodbow hits him, the ball comes out, and it's going to be recovered by Indian Trail. Goodbow comes down with the sack, and I think that's just going to be the end of the half. It's going to be a penalty against Indian Trail, and they'll just run out the half. But Goodbow with a big sack on that one, and recovering the ball was Ben Haig, the center for Indian Trail. Indian Trail will have the opportunity to get the ball first here as they deferred to the second half. And talking about Cody, he's doing a game. He'll be doing a game later tonight.
Yes, he
Whitewater and Jefferson. So in Jefferson County.
Well, it's one of the great things about starting MSBN and doing MSBN for, well, this is the start of our 13th year, is all the great relationships that I've been able to have. And Cody was one of our a long list of Brown interns that got their cut their teeth with MSBN and then go out into the world, whether it be radio or TV or web or whatever you may be. You send a couple people off to ESPN, matter of fact, and so it's been a good run.
Ben Carls to kick it off. He sends this one up high and short, fielded at the 24-yard line, and Alex Jarvis brought down across the 30 up to, they'll call it the 32-yard line, and Indian Trail will start with the 1st and 10 there, and that is their best starting field position of the game at their own 32. We
spoke about this at halftime and during the first half. Hudson really owned the field position battle in the first half, and that's going a long way to why they're sitting on a 21-3 lead. Bob's emailing in. He says that sure looks like a nice facility down there. It is. Nice seating, a decent press box, a nice backdrop, pretty good sight lines. Not as nice as we're going to have in Hudson, I'll have to say, but nice.
Wenberg pitches to Granucci. Granucci cuts it outside, but then cuts across the green. Granucci the 40, and Granucci still on his feet at the 44-yard line before he's finally brought down on the far side of the field. It's going to be a gain of 13 and a first down to get things started for Indian Trail.
Well, Don, you talked about the coach's comment in regards to Jack Canucci that he only played a limited schedule last year, but they expect good things out of him, and he had little flashes of some success in the first half, but a nice run there.
Jake Sasembo with the tackle on the far side of the field. Wenberg looking to pass, and it was deflected. That was Goodbow knocking it down at the line. Just talked about him during halftime, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, Goodbow's got the great combination of athleticism, size, and speed, and then it comes down to perfecting your craft. It comes down to the technique, the extra work, the weight room, the conditioning, the perfecting the spin move, understanding defensive sets, and if he can do that, he can become the complete package.
6'4", 230, what he's listed as. Wenberg gives to Granucci this time. Granucci able to get out of the backfield, and he drags a couple tacklers with him as he crosses midfield to the 49-yard line of Hudson. A pickup of 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3.
Well, if he continues to get 6-7 yards, you just keep the football in his breadbasket until Hudson can establish that they can stop him. A real nice start for him for the second half, now in Hudson territory.
Granucci had 28 yards in the first half, 20 on the first 2 carries here in the second half. 2 receivers to the right. Wenberg looking to pass, under pressure, rolling out to his right, looking downfield, and he dumps it off complete for a first down to the 45-yard line of Hudson, and on the catch was Leo Kaiser.
With the catch, that's a 4-yard gain, and that's
it'll be a pickup of 5 on the play and a first down for the Hawks.
And just looking at the roster I have does have some incomplete information. I wanted to see who the player was for Hudson, but I didn't have it on there. But anyway, nice open field tackle. There we go. And that would have been Elijah Rude.
1st and 10 Hawks. Ball will be spotted.
1 receiver to the right, 2 receivers to the left. Wenberg again looking to pass, middle of the field. He hits Suber. Suber slips out of a tackle, but can't hold his footing as he falls to the turf at the 35-yard line. A gain of 9. It'll be 2nd down and 1.
Reynolds with the tackle.
Well,
the Hawks gain.
The Hawks starting to move the ball, and
2nd and 2 for the Hawks.
I have to throw an editorial comment out here. That is one of the loudest PA speakers I've ever heard in 20 years of broadcasting.
Well,
I just thought I'd put that out there.
The speakers are right over us,
above
just
us.
outside the window,
that's
too.
Part of it.
2 receivers left, one to the right again for Wenberg. Wenberg fakes a handoff to Granucci. He's going for Alex Jarvis down the near sideline and overthrows him by just a yard. On the coverage was Alec Colander.
Well, you can see a little bit of confidence in the Hawks as they're starting to move the ball a little bit here at the start of the second half. In an 18-point hole here, still this game is not out of reach by any means, but in the battle of the trenches and otherwise, the Hudson defense got the better of the Hawks offense in the first half.
3rd and 2 for Indian Trail. 9:42 to play in the third quarter. 21-3, the Hudson lead as the skill players do an extra huddle. Now there's a lot of confusion, and Granucci and Wenberg call for a timeout, and they had to take an early one here. Just 2 minutes and 18 seconds into the second half. Indian Trail will have to blow through one of those timeouts.
And somebody's getting an earful down there, and that's what week 1 is. You know, it's a learning experience. Both of these teams had a scrimmage, but they have pretty limited practice time so far. You know, they only started in early August. Today's August 18th, and it's about timing and getting players in and out and who's supposed to be where, and still learning the playbook and finding your way. So that's one of those, sometimes you got to burn timeouts when you don't want to, or you get whistled for 12 men on the field or a legal substitution, that type of thing. And you know, those are the breaks here in game 1.
Toronto and Suber off to the left. Jarvis, the lone receiver, to the right. The handoff, nope, he fakes it. Wenberg pulls it back in, and he's going to be able to drag the defender. That is Aaron Lofgren for a first down as he gets just enough, a gain of 3, and they move the chains, and that is the 10th first down of the game for Indian Trail.
Well, they're kind of taking a page out of the Hudson playbook there with a quarterback draw or a quarterback option there, and they didn't need to get a lot there and converted a first down, got a decent drive going.
Same formation, Kaiser, the H-back on the right side. Wenberg looking to his left and underthrows Suber. Lofgren may have gotten in the passing lane there and forced Wenberg to throw that one errantly. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
I want to say hello to Dave. He said he's watching with you back home in Hudson, Tyler and Dave Hardman, watching Kenny Hardman and the rest of the football team. Dave says, go Raiders. Thank you for emailing in. Keep those emails coming in. Had a lot of nice emails here so far, people tuning in that couldn't make the trip down. And thank you once again for joining us for Hudson Football on MSBN.
Kenny with 5 carries for 16 yards in that first half. 2nd down and 10 for Indian Trail at the 33-yard line of Hudson. Wenberg in trouble, and he's going to be taken down. A sack, and on the sack was Cody Licht for Hudson.
Bon Carl's in there as well. It was kind of the convergence of 3 defenders that got excellent penetration from 3 different angles, and that was kind of if you remember back in the days of the Happy Days show, that was the Malachi Crunch.
A loss of 7 on the play will make it 3rd and 17 from the 41-yard line. 2 receivers again off to the left, 1 to the right for Wenberg. Granucci off his right hip. Wenberg rolling to the right, under pressure, able to get it away, and it's caught. Jarvis, my goodness, down the near sideline with a big catch down inside the 10 over Alec Colander.
That there was a Jerry Rice, Chris Carter type of catch, tiptoeing the sideline, reaching up above 2 defenders, double coverage, kind of a rainbowed pass, Cole Goodball closing in, and somehow, someway pulled it in. Wow.
It'll be 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, and the handoff goes to the running back Granucci, and Granucci spinning his way down to the 5, a gain of 3.
Number 94 got back.
And I tell you, Jarvis with 2 catches in the game, John, the 23-yarder that kept the fourth down drive alive, and now a 33-yarder.
Yeah, I've been Johnny on the spot in crucial situations, because if that would have been knocked down or defended, or he'd caught it out of bounds, you know, the Hawks probably would have had to punt.
Ball at the 5, keeping it himself is Wenberg, and Wenberg will pick up a couple of yards down to the 2, call it a gain of 3, and it's going to bring up a 3rd and goal from the 2.
Well, there it is. You got to think they're maybe in 4-down territory, although the thing is, you know, these are only 12-minute quarters in high school football, and they're down 18 points, and that's 3 scores, no matter how you look at it. And you almost are in a position where you have to go for it if they're stopped here.
Trips to the left, Jarvis all alone to the right. Granucci the only back in the backfield. Wenberg trying to keep it himself, and did he get in? He tried to back in. He's going to be just short. It's going to be 4th and inches. Good job for Hudson. They were able to get in there, and I believe it was Cody Lick that was able to spin him around a little bit to make sure that Wenberg went in back first.
Huge play coming up here, and looks like the Hawks are going to go with a 4-receiver set, Don.
And Wenberg will be under center for this one. Wenberg, he's going to try and bowl forward, and Granucci comes behind him and gives him a little assistance, and Wenberg is into the end zone from a yard out, and the Hawks get their first touchdown of the game, and they cut the lead to 21-9 with 6:50 to play here in the third quarter.
Well, that was power against power there, and I think initially the Hudson defensive interior line, the nose guard and the 2 defensive tackles, had that stop. The running back came in from the back, and there was just enough inertia, just enough forward movement to cross, to break the goal line. All you have to do is break the goal line, and they were very close to start with, and they got in there an extra point away from going down by 11.
Jake Loren on for the extra point attempt. Snap is down, kick is away, and it is good. Indian Trail goes 68 yards in 5 minutes and 10 seconds, and they pull to within 11, 21-10 with 6:50 to play here in our third quarter.
Of course, this game number 1 of the 2017 season, year number 7 for the MSBN Sports Network, with extensive wire-to-wire coverage of Hudson High School football. We're going to partner up, as we have in past years, with the River Channel. Something very new, something very different this year. We're going to kick off next Friday with our home opener with our new stadium. We're going to have live TV, local TV on Channel 15, in addition to our live web stream as well. We're going to transition Hudson off the main MSBN website to its own Hudson Raider website, powered by the MSBN network. Something I wanted to do to give Hudson its own identity within the network. We'll have all the archives and maybe some highlights and special features and things focused specifically on the Hudson team and really our Hudson community. It's kind of a project I've been thinking about for a while. We're gonna kick that off next week. So some exciting things coming on, and pretty exciting game here as the Hawks are making a game of it. Down 21-3 at half. They close the gap to 21-10, Don.
Laurent kicking off for Indian Trail, and the last time Indian Trail scored and had a kickoff, there was an 88-yard return by Riley Brown for Hudson. And they're going to pooch this one. A fair catch called for and made by Jacob Dalton. Dalton catches it at the 31-yard line, and it's going to be 1st and 10 for Hudson there.
And of course, Jacob Dalton, and of course, Darren Dalton. And from the past, of course, several Dalton boys have played on this Raider team, and looking forward to seeing them again. And of course, their father, Ron Dalton, president of the Benchwarmers team. And I think Ron's down here somewhere, and worked with him, got to know him a little bit, and really a nice partnership that we've been able to develop with the Benchwarmers and the River Channel and the high school. It's really been nice.
Steubendick keeps it himself after a couple of fakes, and he'll be able to get up to the 35-yard line. A pickup of 5 for Steubendick. He now has 4 carries for 25 yards in the game.
And Steubendick really continuing to do well out of the whether he's over center. They've really kind of gone more with him now lately, where they started initially with Helterbrand under center.
Steubendick looking to pass, and he's able to hit his receiver at the 45-yard line of Indian Trail, brought down at the 39. That is Riley Brown on the catch.
And Riley Brown continued to have an outstanding game in addition to that big 88-yard kick return. He's had a couple nice runs, a nice catch there, and Hudson's moving the ball into Hawk territory, trying to get that lead back up after the Hawks close the gap.
A 25-yard pickup and the 10th first down of the game for Hudson. Steubendick fakes the handoff under pressure, and too many purple jerseys. Going to be no gain. He might have lost a couple of steps even. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 10 for Hudson with under 6 minutes to play in our third quarter. They lead Indian Trail by 11.
A very different kind of attack so far. They're mixing it up, but Hudson primarily has had most of their success traditionally through the ground, but the Hawks have, for the most part, been able to contain the running game. It's the passing game that's gotten it done tonight here for the Raiders.
Carl split out to the right. The handoff goes to David Miller. Miller tries the left side, and Miller will pick up a few yards up to the 43-yard line. A gain of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 3rd and 7.
And Miller, one of the complement of backs that they're trying out of the backfield tonight, and again, a couple names from last year. Cole Danielson, we learned, who had a good season last year, is not playing football this year. Aaron Squires, who had also an outstanding 2016 season, will be back in week number 3.
And now Helterbrand will go and be the quarterback here for this one. 2 receivers to the right, Stubendick all alone to the left. Helterbrand looking to pass, throwing, and he hits Stubendick at the 35. Nobody around him. The 20, Stubendick the 15, and that's where he'll be brought down. So that'll be a 27. Check that. That'll be a 22-yard pickup down to the 15-yard line, and another 1st down.
You know, and again, just like we saw in the first half, these 2 quarterbacks, they are playing so well off each other.
Ball at the 15-yard line of Indian Trail, and Helterbrand stays in. The handoff goes to Miller. Miller goes off the left side, and Miller will pick up 4 yards down to the 11-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
Miller also had a real nice block on that previous play, giving Helterbrand a little bit extra time as a Hawk defender closed in to complete the pass to Stubendick for the nice gain.
2nd and 6 for the Raiders.
2nd and 6 for Hudson, and now jumping is Indian Trail and getting in. Oh, they got a false start against Hudson. Yeah. So Hudson will back themselves up 5 yards. That's the 3rd penalty against Hudson in the game. The first here in the second half. 3 for 15 yards.
Okay, looks like
2nd down and 11 here for Hudson, and now they bring in Stubendick to quarterback with about 4 minutes to play in the third quarter. An 11-point Hudson lead as Stubendick ducks under center. He options it off, gives it off to Kenny Hardman, and Hardman on the pitch gets out of bounds where they mark him here at the 11-yard line, it looks like. So it'll be a pickup of 10 and bring up a 3rd down and 4. Longest run of the game for Hardman.
And methodically and very successfully, Hudson is driving again, sitting on an 11-point lead. Clock now dips under 4 minutes to go, 3:58 to be exact, here in the third quarter, and in the red zone and looking good.
Helterbrand back under center now for Hudson. Helterbrand gives it off to David Miller, and Miller not able to get too much. He's going to be short of the 1st down to the 11-yard line, needs another yard, a gain of 3, and he'll bring up a 4th and 1, and a big decision here for Hudson, but it doesn't look like they're going to hesitate. Helterbrand stays out there.
This falls right in line with how Coach Cowles runs these 4th downs. He's going for it.
4th and 2, and Helterbrand gets across the 5-yard line down to the 3-yard line, a pickup of 4, and Hudson moves the chains on 4th down. It'll be 1st and goal for Hudson.
Without fail, they went on that, and it was just a simple play. Helterbrand leveraging his size, good surge by the offensive line, and bang, they converted that 4th.
Helterbrand audibling at the line with 3:15 to play, and Helterbrand will just keep it himself, and he's going to get down to the 1, just short of the goal line, a gain of 3, and it'll bring up a 2nd down and goal for Hudson.
You know, and you're the Hawks, your back's to the wall here. You know, you're already down by 11, and really the inability to successfully shut down this Hudson offense, and they're going to have to stop them here.
Helterbrand again, muscling his way in. Touchdown Raiders. Helterbrand from 1 yard out, and Hudson answers back to the Indian Trail touchdown drive with their own, and they increase their lead to 27-10 with 2:51 to play in our third quarter. So a pair of 1-yard quarterback sneaks for touchdowns here to be able to get both teams on the board in the second half, John.
Well, just physical, smash mouth, successful between the tackles football. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Helterbrand, just this big athletic guy going behind the big offensive line, and you just keep doing it until they can stop you. They couldn't.
And Carl's kick is good, and that makes it 28-10 in favor of Hudson with 2:51 left to play in our third quarter. So a big answering drive there by the Raiders to answer back the Indian Trail drive where they scored a touchdown on a QB sneak themselves.
Looking good for the Raiders so far, 28-10. Keep those emails coming in. So many nice emails tonight from fans and viewers from here, there, and all over the place, and very easy to do. You can click on the Email Us link in your Game Tracker screen. That's the button in the upper right corner of your screen. Let us know who you are, where you're listening from, who you're cheering for tonight, thoughts on the season, the team, the broadcast. Glad to have you on board.
So far, our biggest distance has been Munich, right?
Munich, Germany, yes. I believe that was Sam Somerville over in Munich, Germany, former Raider. And, of course, Pepperfest is underway, and I'll be up there tomorrow. Open at 5 o'clock, so about an hour and a half. And a great little festival in our community of North Hudson. And take my son up there tomorrow and have some great Italian food, see some good music, and whatever else.
Carl's to kick off. Jarvis back deep along with Jalen Grant. A short, high kick that's going to bounce, and it will bounce out of bounds. A little bit dangerous there by Jarvis as the gunner for Hudson was down there, but it did spin out of bounds down at the 22-yard line, and Indian Trail will have good starting field position for this drive.
Well, the Hawks are going to have to strike immediately and strike quickly. They now find themselves back down 28-10, and that's so disheartening when you're down and you score and close the gap, and the opponent is able to march down the field very successfully, very methodically, and run that lead back up to 8, negating that the touchdown you had closing the gap. So Hudson really in control of this game, looking good. I like what I see, and we're only going to get better. Still quite a bit of game to go yet, but so far so good.
Indian Trail, best starting field position of the game at their own 35. Wenberg hits Suber at the 40, and Suber falls ahead to the 42-yard line. A pickup of 7 on that pass play.
And really the Hawks are going to have to go to the air. They had some success with Granucci, but they're kind of shying away from the run because they're in a hole time-wise.
Goodbow tips it, and it's picked off, intercepted by Cody Licht. And it'll be Hudson football at the 45-yard line of Indian Trail.
And Licht was Johnny on the spot coming off that tip by Goodbow. Got the big paw up there. We talked about his size and his athleticism, and they're lining him up different places and giving him different looks, and next thing you know, it looked like a Joe Cap pass, and Licht got it and turnover. And the Hudson Raiders got it.
2:22 to play here in the third quarter, and Hudson just scored to go up by 18, and they get the football back, and they're at the Indian Trail 45-yard line.
And I think if you're the Hudson Raiders, you stick to that ground game and you grind it. If you can consistently get 3, 4, 5 yards a crack, continue to wind the clock, don't do the turnovers. This one's looking good.
Steubendick under center. Sends Riley Brown in motion, and now they reset. Steubendick takes, fakes the handoff, and thought about optioning it to Hartman, but it was double-teamed and ends up getting back to the line of scrimmage and no more. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 10.
Of course, for those of you who are Milwaukee Brewer fans and have been watching the pennant race, Chicago Cubs did win today 7-4 over Toronto, so Milwaukee needs to win tonight. They're on the road against Colorado.
See if the Brewers home run hitters can get it done out there in the light air. Steubendick rolling to his right on an option, and Steubendick dives ahead trying to get back to the line of scrimmage. He can't get out of the tackle of Alex Ziccarelli, and it's going to be a loss of 1 on the play.
Well, kind of two option plays there. Neither one got any yards at all, which forces them into a 3rd and long situation, possibly through the air. Looks like Stubendik's coming in.
Helterbrand.
Excuse me, Helterbrand.
Go out to the slot on the left side.
Yep.
A 3rd down and 11, 1:15 to play. 28-10 here in the 3rd quarter. That's the lead for Hudson. Helterbrand takes, looking to pass, has time, rolling to his right. He's going to run out of the pocket. He may have been over the line when he launched that, and it's incomplete, and he was over the line. That's what that flag is going to be. His foot was fully down by the time he released that ball. So we'll see what Indian Trail decides to do here on this one.
Yeah, he was close. I mean, he was in air, I think, technically. Yeah, I mean, clearly he was over the line, not by much, but excellent, really, coverage by the Hawks that time, and Helterbrand had quite a bit of time. Very good blocking by the Hudson boys up front.
And so they will mark it back to the 50-yard line, a loss of 5, and it's a loss of down 2. So it'll be 4th down, ball at midfield, and on to punt comes Carls with a minute left to play in our 3rd quarter. Carl's a high punt, fair catch called for by Indian Trail and made down at the 16-yard line by Jarvis. It'll be 1st and 10 Indian Trail at their own 16-yard line with under a minute to play in our 3rd quarter.
Go back into the MSBN email bag, and this is an interesting one. Becky Kirkpatrick emailing in, and she says Coach Kirkpatrick needs to step up his sideline attire, and she says gym shorts with multiple question marks. That one's coming in from Mom. Yeah, there's several guys over there with gym shorts.
John, what are you focusing on? Are you even showing the game out there?
I don't know.
Pass is complete to Alex Jarvis, and Jarvis is whipped down by Gus Bros, but it's going to be a pickup of 11 and a 1st down for Indian Trail.
It's a nice warm, our days of being able to wear shorts are going to be over before too long. A nice warm night here in Kenosha.
1st and 10 at the 28-yard line. Granucci with the carry, and Granucci will power ahead for about 4 yards to the 32-yard line. They'll be 2nd down and 6.
And Granucci is continuing to build some stats. Early in the second half, he had a couple nice runs, but then as they fell further behind, they had to kind of go away from him and go to the air.
Twin receivers each way for Wenberg, looking deep, and he overthrows Bonilla on the Hudson sideline at about the 47-yard line of Hudson. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 6.
And he was open. He was open, but the pass just wasn't there. But he did have some separation on the defender.
5 for the Hawks.
So a 3rd and 6 for Indian Trail. Ball at the 32-yard line. 19 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. It's an 18-point lead for Hudson. 2 receivers each way for Wenberg. Granucci off his right hip. Wenberg takes, looking to his left, throwing, completes, 1st down. And it's Gabe Toronto with his first catch up to the 40-yard line, a gain of 7, and they move the chains. And check that's the 2nd catch for Toronto.
And a couple clutch 3rd and 4th down pickups for these Hawks. They just have been unable for the most part to sustain the drives and come up with any points. And this is going to be the last play of the 3rd quarter.
Handoff to Granucci. Granucci trying to get outside. He slips a tackle at the 41 and pounds his way up to the 46-yard line, a gain of 6 for Granucci. And that's how the 3rd quarter will come to an end. When we start the 4th quarter of play, it'll be a 2nd down and 4 for Indian Trail at their own 46-yard line.
28-10, the Hudson Raiders, 3 quarters in the books, 4th one to go here, and trying to hold this lead and come out of here with a Week 1 opening game victory over the Kenosha Indian Trail Hawks as we prepare for next week's season home opener at Hudson against Stevens Point, who knocked Hudson out of the playoffs. Seems so long ago now, in October of last year in Level 2. And again, MSBN is partnering with the River Channel to bring live TV in addition to our live web stream. We're going to nail down all of our sponsors and be able to do some things commercially, and we got to get that done next week. Really looking forward to it. It's sad to see Newton Field go. I had so many great games there and great experiences, but the new field is awesome. I was there earlier this week looking things over, and it's going to be fun. going to be fun.
I've seen the videos of that area that
Yep.
they posted online, and just field looks gorgeous out there, the new field.
It is. A lot of work went into it. Part of the, the referendum that we passed in our community here a while ago, and a lot of work has been put into it, and it's going to be great.
Every single game.
So a second down and 4 for Indian Trail. Ball at their own 46-yard line to start the fourth quarter. 2 receivers each way for Wenberg. Wenberg with Granucci to his left, hands it off to Granucci. Granucci right up the gut, and he'll pound ahead for a couple of yards to the 48-yard line. It'll bring up a third down and 2 for Indian Trail.
And Don, I think it goes without saying, when you're down by 18 points at the start of the fourth quarter, you're in 4-down territory, especially at this part of the field here. And they're really starting to feature a little bit Granucci getting some luck, but they got to convert first downs, and they got to score in a hurry.
Fakes the handoff to Granucci. Wenberg with the first down and into Hudson territory, and he'll be held up at the 45-yard line of Hudson. Pickup of 7 and another first down.
By a host of Raiders, that's a 7-yard gain.
And Wenberg a little slow to get up, and he's hobbling a little bit after that pile up.
Yes.
And if you're Indian Trail, that's him and Granucci are kind of your team. If you lose one of those two, you're in a whole lot of trouble this season.
Hudson scrambling to get players off the field. Get everybody off here.
Wenberg looking to pass under heavy pressure, throwing it up, and overshoots both receivers out there by 5 yards. That was Jarvis he was looking for, as well as Suber, and it'll be second down and 10. 22nd pass of the game for Wenberg.
Yeah, they've had to go to the air, and that's what happens when you fall down early in the hole, and you don't have the luxury of featuring that running game. And as the clock continues to tick, and your window of opportunity starts to begin to close, so you have to go to the air.
Twin receivers each way again for Wenberg out of the shotgun. Second down and 10. Fakes, nope, gives to Granucci, and Granucci is able to plow ahead inside the 40 as he gave Aaron Lofgren a bit of a ride. No, check that. That was Nick Becker that went for a ride on the Granucci train there. A gain of 6, and it'll be third and 4. Jarvis and Suber off to the right side. It's Gabe Toronto along with Bonilla to the left. The handoff to Granucci, slips out of a Lofgren tackle attempt, and he's able to get positive yardage out of it. Gets near a first down to the 35-yard line, a gain of 3, and it'll bring up a fourth down and 1 here for Indian Trail, and no doubt here they have to go for it.
Absolutely, it's not even a question. And if Hudson defensively stops them here, boy, they're going to be in really good shape. You got to wonder if they're just going to get it to Danucci here right up the middle. No?
No, fakes the handoff to Granucci, and did he get there? Wenberg with the carry. It's going to depend on the spot, and they're going to put it right at the 34-yard line, so I think he's going to have enough for it. He'll have enough for the first down here with that spot. They're going to measure, but it looks pretty good.
Yeah, by the nose of the football, it's all about where the referees determine forward progress ends. And he did get it. We did get a final in as I'm guessing they went into running time over in Oshkosh North. The Menominee Mustangs, an outstanding start to their 2017 campaign. The defending 2016 Big Rivers Conference champions go home with a 40-0 win over Oshkosh North.
By the football and then a little bit, so Indian Trail with their 14th first down of the game, and they keep the chains moving. And they keep their hopes alive here with 10:15 to play in the fourth quarter. They trail by 18. They need 3 scores in this one.
We got
go ahead.
Go ahead, Don.
2 receivers right, H-back on the right side of the formation. 1 receiver to the left for Wenberg. Wenberg takes, looking to his right, throwing, and he hits Kaiser, and Kaiser is stood up, and the ball comes out. And who has it? Hudson claiming that they have it. Trying to see who laid the stick down there, and I believe that was Jacob Dalton with the hit, and they're going to say that he was either down or that he recovered his own. It's going to be a loss of a yard, maybe 2, and it'll bring up a second down and 12.
Eric Hayner emails in and asks who's number 61 on the defensive line, and according to my stat sheet, my roster, that would be Nick Berger for the Hudson Raiders.
Looking to his left and off the fingertips of Suber, and that is Bon Carls on the coverage. May have gotten that ball, may have tipped it away, and it'll bring up a 3rd down and 12.
13 Carls on the coverage.
Marianne Burkham emailing in. She's watching from DeSoto, Wisconsin. Her grandson plays on the Hudson team. So, Marianne, thank you for tuning in, emailing in. I've been down to DeSoto, lived in La Crosse, worked in radio there for few years back in the 90s. Nice area.
3rd and 11 for Wenberg. Has time. Throwing for Jarvis. A lot of contact downfield. Throws into a double team. And incomplete on the coverage for the Raiders was Collender and Dalton down there. And it's going to bring up a 4th and 11. And once again, Indian Trail forced to, oh, maybe not. Are they going to send out their punting unit?
Wow, I'm surprised.
With a 4th and 11, and you're at the Indian Trail 35, or are they going to – I was wondering if they might try a long field goal because we did see Laurent hit from 50 yards out with no rush.
35, yeah. Well, interesting call here because they have converted that big 4th down earlier.
And they are going to punt it away. And a fair catch called for and made at the 5-yard line by Jacob Dalton. And it's going to be 1st and 10 for Hudson, and they'll mark it. Are they going to mark it the 5 or the 6 here? Trying to see the official spot. With 9:20 to play, it's a 18-point lead for Hudson.
Interesting call there, Don. I have to admit, when you're down by 18, and particularly in your opponent's territory, and having had converted a 4th down that was almost twice as long as that, electing to punt is an interesting call.
And they will put it down at the 6-yard line, so by far for Hudson, their worst starting field position of the game. Stubendick under center, and he gives it off to Riley Brown, and Brown will get ahead for about 3 yards to the 9-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Nice game by Riley Brown, and here's where Hudson, I think, is looking to really establish the running attack. We've seen success through the air and some other things, but you have that featured back between the tackles that can bang out consistently those 4- and 5-yard carries. That's the hallmark of Hudson football.
David Miller going to the other side. Miller will pick up 3, maybe 4 on that play. It'll bring up a 3rd and 3. And for Riley Brown, that was his first carry of the second half. He only had 3 in the first half for 17 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns, one off an 8-yard run and one off an 88-yard kickoff return.
Yeah, exciting return.
So a 3rd and 4 here for Hudson. Ball at the 22 or at the 17-yard line. Check that. Their own. Stubendick with an audible at the line. Stubendick takes, looking to pass, and he has an open receiver, and it's off the hands of Kenny Hardman. A drop pass by Hardman. He had the first down and a lot more, and that's the first incompletion by Stubendick in the game, but that one was on target, John, and now Hudson will have to punt deep in their own territory at their own 13-yard line.
Tough drop by Kenny Hardman. The pass was where it needed to be, when it needed to be there. That clearly would have gotten the first down. And those are the types of passes you need to bring down. Those are what you work on, and you run it again and again and again and again until it becomes automatic. And hopefully in the future, Hardman will pull that down.
Carl's the punt. Indian Trail comes after it, nearly gets there. Jarvis makes the fair catch back at the 47-yard line of Indian Trail. So Hudson only able to take 1 minute and 6 seconds off the clock on that drive, and they give it back to Indian Trail. Indian Trail does trail by 3 scores, 28-10 with 8:08 to play in our fourth quarter.
Well, there you can see, at least some of the reasoning behind Indian Trail punting and forcing Hudson deep into their own territory, and then you leave it up to the Hawk defense, and the Hawk defense came alive and forced Hudson to punt it right back and got pretty good starting field position.
Wenberg hands it off to Granucci. Granucci trying to get outside, slips a tackle. Granucci gets the corner, the 45 of Hudson, the 40, the 35, and he's run out of bounds at the 33-yard line of Hudson. That will be a pickup of 20 yards and a first down.
Well, we've talked about him. They've featured him, on and off all game. And they had to go to the air, but are having some success on the ground here, and it's absolutely imperative if the Hawks look to to somehow, some way pull off this upset with time ticking away under 8 minutes, they have to strike pay dirt here. Hudson defensively just has to throw up a brick wall and the game's theirs.
1st and 10 for Indian Trail at the Hudson 33-yard line. Some confusion on where Kaiser should be lined up. Takes Wenberg, fakes a handoff to Granucci. Goodbow wraps him up, and throwing it is Wenberg, and they throw a flag, and I think this might be intentional grounding as Goodbow was about ready to take him down back at the 45-yard line.
As they sort it out, if there wasn't a receiver in the vicinity, he is going to get flagged for it.
Now let's wait for the call here from referee Doug Laurent.
And
Laurent is going to call holding
on Hudson
against Hudson, and so that will set up
That's a 10-yard penalty.
a first down for the Hawks as it puts them down to the 23-yard line of Hudson. So 1st and 10, Indian Trail at the 23-yard line of Hudson. Wenberg looking to pass, throwing to the right side, and Suber unable to make the catch at the 20-yard line. He bobbled it and dropped it, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Well, that's an unfortunate break for Hudson. It's been a pretty clean game penalty-wise for Hudson, considering it's the first game there, and that's unfortunate. Really kept this drive alive as the Hawks get close to the red zone here, down by 18.
5 penalties for 30 yards against Hudson now. Receiver off to the right side is Toronto. Receiver to the left is Jarvis. The pitch goes to Granucci. Granucci changes direction on the stop and restart. A flag comes in. That's in the area of holding. Granucci gets back to the line of scrimmage, but it's going to be coming back, I'm willing to bet, here against Indian Trail.
Yeah, they've sorted out. It would be a holding call right on the line.
And so they'll move that one back 10 yards. That is the first penalty accepted against Indian Trail here in the second half. Ball will be back at the 34-yard line. Ends up being a loss of 11 because it's from the spot of the foul. And it'll bring up a 2nd down and 21 for Indian Trail. 7.5 minutes left to play in our game. They trail by 18. 2 receivers each way for Wenberg. He has Jalen Grant in the backfield. He moves Grant over to his left as he works out of the shotgun. Wenberg takes, hands it off. Nope, fakes a handoff to Grant, and he goes running up the middle, and he'll get much of that yardage back down to the 26-yard line. That'll be a pickup of 8 for Wenberg.
3rd and 12 for the Hawks.
And both of these teams have had success with that quarterback draw, quarterback option. You know, consistently getting 8 to 10 yards. As the defense drops back from on pass coverage, you just shoot up the middle.
But here's a 3rd and 13 for Indian Trail. 2 receivers to the right, going for the home run. Down the far sideline and overthrows Jarvis. Excellent coverage out there by the Raiders by Gus Brose, and it'll bring up a 4th down.
So we get on to the 7 o'clock hour here. Most of the high school football games tonight in this week number 1 here of the 2017 season are kicking off right now. This is just a handful of games that did have the start early. One of them, fellow Big Rivers Conference team, the Menominee Mustangs, already a 40-0 win, final over Oshkosh North.
4th and 13 for Wenberg. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left, rolling to his right. And dropped. Suber had it for the first down at the 10-yard line. Had caught it could have caught it in front of Dalton, but it goes in and out of his hands, and it'll be a turnover on downs, and it'll be 1st and 10 Hudson on their own 24-yard line.
Well, the Hawks gambled and punted Hudson deep in their own territory, was able to stop them on a 3-and-out, but they were not able to capitalize on the pretty good starting field position, and the Hudson defense comes up big again, and now it's just up to the offense to grind it out, keep it on the ground, run clock, don't turn it over, and they're headed back north with the win.
So Hudson with 6:44 to play. They have it at their own 26, and the handoff goes to David Miller. Power run up the middle. And Miller gets up to the 33-yard line. That'll be a gain of 7 and bring up 2nd down and 3.
Miller's had a nice game. He and Brown have both had some nice runs here, as Stubendick and Helterbrand have played off each other, but the other complementary backs have chipped in as well.
One receiver split out to the left. Stubendick under center. Stubendick takes and gives to, believe that's Miller again. And Miller will pound ahead for 1 yard. It'll bring up a 3rd and 2.
And the clock continuing to run. We're going to be under 6 minutes when this ball is snapped.
Would like to move the chains here, run off a little bit more than a minute and a half on this drive, just in case. You do lead by 3 scores in Hudson's case here. The give to Miller again, and Miller's going to be stood up, gets another yard up to the 35-yard line. And it'll bring up a 4th down and 1, and I'd imagine Hudson, well, you're up by 18. Do you take a risk at the 35 here to keep those chains moving? You've been picking up at least a yard on every run here, John.
Yeah, and you're down 4th and 1. It looks like possibly a short one. Here we go.
They're going for it. Stubendick under center, and now he's audibling.
Yeah. Are they going to go with a hard count, try to draw him off sides? Yeah, they're trying.
It looks like that's what they're trying to do.
Timeout.
Yep, and now Cowles calls a timeout. The first timeout taken by Hudson. And they have a 4th and 1 with 5:11 to go. They lead Indian Trail by 18 as they look to go 1-0 on the 2017 season.
I like the play call there, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That time, credit to the Hawks defense for being disciplined and staying home. But basically, I've been asked, well, what is a hard count? That's where you vary the cadence of the snap count with the intention of drawing the defensive team off sides. When they jump across the line, you snap the ball, you get a 5-yard offsides penalty, and that's how you get your first down. But sometimes the other edge of that sword is sometimes you draw your own team off sides. But that's I like the play call there. And once it didn't work, you time out and punt it away.
Well, and especially in Hudson's case, because you do a lot of movement in the backfield anyhow, which gets the other team on their heels as is. And so Hudson will end up punting it away here. Carl's into punt. Alex Jarvis back at his 35-yard line to receive. Gets off a good punt and going back and making the catch at the 20 for Indian Trail. That was Evan Callow.
I believe that was Riley Brown on the tackle. Is that correct?
That punt goes for 54 yards.
Nice punt. Good hang time, too.
So Indian Trail backed up at their own 20-yard line with 5:03 to play and trailing by 18.
Number 8. Apologize for that.
Wenberg in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Rolling to his right. Goodboe applying pressure, and it's completed. But right there with the tackle is Jacob Dalton. And the catch is made by Kaiser. And that'll go for a loss of a yard, and that's the second time Kaiser's caught a pass for a loss.
And Goodboe was closing in from the right tackle position there. And how would you like to have him coming at you? That hurried that pass along a little bit.
2nd and 11 for Indian Trail. Wenberg takes, rolling this time to his left. Pressure coming, throwing, and it's going to be picked off, intercepted by Jakes Asembo at the 40-yard line, and he brings it to the 30. Looking on that one for Jeremiah Suber, and it'll be Hudson football.
And that's the second, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the second Hudson interception of the game.
Correct.
And if they can, 4:25 to go here with some successful runs and some good clock management, they could just possibly run this out right here.
So the 30th pass of the game by Wenberg is intercepted. And Hudson now has it at the 30-yard line of Indian Trail, leading by 18 with 4:25 to play, looking to run out the clock and get the victory. Stubendick stays in at quarterback for Hudson. Stubendick takes, fakes the handoff to Miller, rolling to his left. He's going to keep it. Stubendick gets the corner, the 20, the 15. Flag comes in late, and Stubendick is taken down at the 10-yard line. A pickup of 20. We'll have to see what the flag is on the far side numbers at the 15.
And Coach Adam Cowles, we can't hear from here, but I'm reading lips and I'm reading body language, and he's very unhappy with somebody out there.
And so gives Stubendick, he got 5 yards legally on that one, and then they go 10 yards back. So it'll be 1st and 5 at the 25-yard line of Indian Trail.
Still remains first down for the Raiders.
It's all about execution and discipline. And as the season goes on, good teams get better at that. The mistakes become fewer and the wins become more.
Charlie Pierce off to the left side. I believe Miller is split out there as well. Carl's on the right side. Stubendick, a keeper again, gets off left tackle, gets the first down and more. Stubendick down the far sideline to the 16-yard line. It's going to be a gain of 9 and a first down.
And the key is also, too, don't run to the sideline. Keep it on the field and keep that clock running. I mean, you're going to have a stoppage, a temporary stoppage of play when you move the chains in high school football, but you want to stay within the field of play. Michaela Fawn emailing in, since she's watching from Hudson, wishing a fast recovery to Carson Madigan. We can't wait to watch you play. Heal fast. And go Raiders go. That one coming in from Michaela. Thank you, Michaela, for emailing in.
3:45 to play in the game, and the handoff goes to Miller, and Miller gets himself down to the 12-yard line, called a pickup of 4 for Miller, as he now has 14 carries in the game.
Jesse Jackson.
It'll bring up a 2nd down and 6 for Indian Trail, or for Hudson, excuse me.
And that clock continuing to run. It is the friend of the Hudson Raiders. It is the enemy of the Indian Trail Hawks.
3:15 to go in the game. Hudson leading by 18. Handoff again to Miller. Miller right up the middle, but too many purple jerseys there. He'll gain 3 to the 10-yard line. It'll set up a 3rd down and 3 for Hudson.
Miller with the carry.
45 yards rushing in the game now for Miller.
3rd and 3 for the Raiders.
It's been Riley Brown getting in the end zone on an 8-yard TD run and an 88-yard kick return for a touchdown. Also, Kaiser Helterbrand had a 1-yard TD run in the game. Stubendick ducks under center. Now he steps up. He's going to audible with 2.5 minutes left to play. Stubendick takes, gives to Miller again. Miller off of left tackle. He's going to be just short, it looks like, of the first down. A pickup of 2 and a timeout called by Indian Trail.
Well, yeah, they have to stop the clock here if they have any hope. Down by 18, Hudson knocking on the door again inside the red zone and continuing to eat up yards and eat up clock. Getting another score so it isn't so much imperative as it is just maintaining possession, continuing to run clock, converting first downs, and really forcing the Hawks to burn what timeouts they have left, and you could possibly end it right here.
Now they have 1 remaining because, remember, they had to use one on that opening drive just 1.5 minutes into the second half. So just 1 timeout remaining for Indian Trail. It's going to be a 4th and a long one, really closer to 2 yards here for Hudson, coming out of the timeout with 2:21 left to play in the game. An 18-point Raiders lead over the Hawks.
Well, a very good opening game performance down here in Kenosha. Long car ride. Of course, the team came down yesterday, stayed down here last night, and really came in very focused for game 1 and played an outstanding game against a good program, a big school down here, about 2,600 kids, Kenosha Indian Trail, and so far, and it's looking good.
4th and short.
So a 4th and a long one, about 2, and Stubendick is going to race from under center, wide out to the right, and Helterbrand ducks under center. Helterbrand takes the snap and goes forward to the 5-yard line, a pickup of 3 and a first down, and there we see a little bit of that trickery that you can play with that 2-quarterback set.
Absolutely, because when you send him out, it wakes the defense up. Like, what are they doing here? And that draws attention away. Helterbrand, as has done multiple times successfully, under center, hikes it back, waits for the line to make the surge, bounces off the guard, off to that slot there, and you don't need that much time, or you don't need that many yards, and first downs conversion, and the time continues to run.
Getting under 2 minutes to play in the game. And Hudson takes a long time before they even get to the line here, using up as much clock as they can. Handoff goes to Miller. Miller bouncing around like a pinball inside, and he'll pick up 3 yards down to the 3-yard line. It'll bring up a 2nd and goal from the 4.
Another score update from another Big Rivers Conference team opening their season. Superior, as they have in recent years, opening up against Merrill. The Spartans are up 6-0 over Merrill. Superior playoff team the last several years. They've had a good program. They were down a few years, but they won the conference in 2014, and they have made the playoffs, I believe the last 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Also made the playoffs in 13, so they're off to an early 6-0 lead.
1:15 to play, and now are we going to have movement here? What is the cute little quick QB sneaker? They take a knee on that one. Losing a yard back to the 5-yard line with a minute left to play.
Yeah.
So Hudson will get the win on the road. Long trip down to southeast Wisconsin again, and they walk away with the victory and start the 2017 campaign off 1-0. 3rd down and goal from the 5, and Hudson in the victory formation now. Stubendick's going to take the snap and just take a step back and take a knee. And that should do it here with 30 seconds left to play. Hudson isn't going to need to take another snap. And the Raiders come into Indian Trail High School, Jasquith Stadium, and they take down Indian Trail 28-10 here on MSBN.
Well, a nice opening game performance by the Hudson Raiders. We saw kind of what the philosophy is and the plan is for Stubendick and Helterbrand. Defense was outstanding, was able to keep Kenosha Indian Trail in check, limited the turnovers, limited the mistakes. They'll continue to get better, took command of the game right from the get-go, and a very good performance, and we're off to it undefeated as of yet.
There you go. Just trying to get the stats put together here for everybody so that we have some of that for you. But the Hudson with that big 28-10 win here. And rushing-wise, in the contest for Hudson, 17 carries for 50 yards for David Miller, 11 for 36 for Stubendick, 6 carries for 26 yards in the game for Kenny Hardman, 4 carries for 20 yards for Riley Brown, and 4 for 17 for Helterbrand. Helterbrand with a TD run in the game. Stubendick only had 1 incompletion. He ended up finishing the game 4 of 5. And I believe, threw for 76 yards unofficially in the game. And for Helterbrand, he had he only attempted 1 pass in that second half, so he was 3 of 7 for 29 yards. And check that, it was 87 yards for Stubendick. 2 catches for 21 yards for Max Stubendick. It was David Miller had a catch for 9 yards. Carls had 2 for 54. Helterbrand had 1 for 11 for the TD, and Riley Brown had 1 for 25. 6 penalties in the game for Hudson. Those go down for 40 points in the contest, and it was Riley Brown that did the work early on here, John, as he had an 8-yard run to get us started with 3:29 to play in the first quarter, and then after a field goal by Indian Trail in that second quarter, he returns the kickoff 88 yards, and it goes from a 7-3 game to a 14-3 game. And at that point in time, things just really seemed to roll for Hudson.
They did. If there was a catalyst that sparked the Hudson Raiders on to victory, I would have to point. If I'd have to point to one thing, it would be that kickoff, that kickoff return, because that was a 7-3 game, and Indian Trail had closed the gap there, and bang, just in a matter of 2 minutes, it was back to a pretty commanding 14-3 lead. And Hudson really never looked back. They established the ground game. They threw some different looks with Helterbrand and Stubendick and others. Just a solid performance here in week 1, going on the road against a big school, and something to build on going into next week. Again, want to repeat, home opener next week, 7 o'clock start against Stevens Point. Stevens Point knocked Hudson out of the playoffs in Level 2 over in Stevens Point last year. Live web, live TV. We're going to start running all of our commercials for our sponsors, and really looking forward to it.
An impressive thing for this Hudson defense was in that second half, just how they did against the pass, that ended up being what Indian Trail had to rely on, and they were only able to complete 8 passes on 20 attempts in that second half of play. So, in the fourth quarter in particular, only 2 completions that were allowed by Hudson, and both of them went for negative yardage.
Yeah, defensively they were really solid tonight. Got consistent pressure, wrapped up well. The defensive secondary coverage was solid. A good consistent rush. Some issues getting players in and out. That's to be expected in week 1, but good hard physical play, good clean play. They limited penalties, and they will continue to get better. Cole Goodball is every bit as good as I remember from last year, and others as well. Very solid, very impressed.
154 yards passing. That's all that Hudson gave up here in a game where Indian Trail had to pass much of the way at just 154 yards through the air, and they got 2 picks in the game, 2 big interceptions for the Raiders.
Yeah, and one was on a tip, and maybe both were on a tip, but good, even beyond that, good, solid, consistent coverage all game long, and the Hawks at many times were going with the 4 receiver set and crossing patterns and trying to do some different things, curls, ins and outs, and deep posts and things. And the defensive secondary was really on the spot, double coverage when they needed it. One big catch there towards the end, late in the second half, that the Hawks were able to get. But outside of that was about, the big 4th and 23 conversion. But that was about it. They shut down the running attack for the most part, and all around very solid.
Granucci had a good second half. He had 66 yards on the ground that second half on 9 carries. He finished with 16 carries for 94 yards, and then it was the quarterback with 15 for 40 yards for him, and that was really it on the ground. Those were the 2 main rushers.
Yeah, and I think this Kenosha Indian Trail team will continue to get better, because there's definitely some talent on this team. They were 5-5 last year. They play in a tough conference. They're in there with Kenosha, Bradford, and Oak Creek, and Franklin, who's been very solid, and Racine Park, who's been down but traditionally very good, Racine Horlick. And so it's week in and week out they're facing tough opponents. This was a good matchup for them as well, and that's what you hope to do from non-conference. That's why Hudson's down here. Play the good teams, learn from it, and hopefully that'll make you better later in the season when you get into your conference schedule.
And the team getting a big round of applause from the parents and fans that made the trip down as they broke their huddle to go to that far sideline and be able to celebrate that victory with family and friends and fans that did make that drive, similar to the drive that you had to make down here, my 2 Johns.
Yeah, we got about a 5-hour trip home, and we'll pack up all our stuff. It'll be a late night, but wherever the Hudson Raiders go, MSBN goes, whether it's Kenosha or Arrowhead or Stevens Point or Wisconsin Rapids or wherever they go, we go. So it was a good trip down, a very good opening game win, and looking forward to coming back home to our wonderful new stadium and taking on Stevens Point next week.
Well, I want to thank you for inviting me onto your show again as you come down into my neck of the woods. I had a lot of fun with you and John Reed here as well. So I want to thank you for letting me onto the broadcast, and thank all the fans back in Hudson for putting up with me for a couple of hours here this afternoon and evening.
And Don, a wonderful job again, just like you did last year. And if we come down to this way, you're on call. You're definitely my speed dial and a job well done. Don Wadowitz down here. Of course, you work with the Racine Raiders, among other things, semi-pro football. So you've been calling football.
It's our playoffs starting this Saturday. It's been a while. So
all summer, and the Racine, a very traditionally successful semi-pro team here. So thank you to Don Wadowitz for coming on board with MSBN and bringing you this opening game tonight.
Good luck to you guys if you want to take us away, and good luck to Hudson. It was a fun game to call, and glad that that is the as the reserve, as the fill-in, that I'm able to bring the team 2-0 over the last 2 years.
That's true.
Because otherwise 0-2, you're not giving me a phone call.
No.
That speed dial is going to be delete. So.
A very good point. Thank you, Don. And for John Reed, Don Wadowitz, John Wecken here with MSBN. Again, the final score, week 1 of the 2017 high school football season. The Hudson Raiders go on the road and come out with a win, 28-10 over Kenosha, the Kenosha Indian Trail Hawks. For MSBN, we bid you a fond good night.